All members are participating remotely. That would be myself, Rob Rosa. That would be Robert Baker Sr. That would be Gregory Tanzi. That would be Robert Baker Jr. and Mr. Stephen Galley. And with that, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Sr.
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Galley.
Yes.
Meeting's open. All right, gentlemen. And if you missed the cues from WRPS, this meeting is being recorded and it is being live streamed. So here we go. Let me find okay. So 7:30 p.m. We are here. The first thing we got to do is we got to approve minutes. There was a hefty load of minutes. I didn't have any issues. I didn't see anything that needed to be revised. Did anybody have any issues with the minutes?
No.
No, everybody's
No.
good with the minutes. I know we usually do them on an individual case basis, but I think we can get away with a group as long as we list each and every date on the minutes. So if Mr. Baker Jr. has no issue on that, you can make one motion that covers every single one.
How many different items are there on?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yikes. I mean, my preference is to do it individually, but I understand that would interfere with the time that the applicants have to make their presentation. So
that's my only issue. I mean, if I put it this way, I would make a motion to approve the minutes from May 6th, May 20th, May 23rd, June 3rd, June 17th, July 1st, July 22nd, September 2nd, October 21st, and November 4th, and November 15th, November 18th, all of 2025.
second.
I've got a second on that. Mr. Baker, are you okay? You're Mr. Baker Jr., you good with this?
Yes.
Done. All right, I got a motion. I got a second. We're going to do roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Sr.
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Galley.
Yes.
Done. Here's your minutes. Okay. Let me get out of that one because we don't need to do that. And let me get back to, all right. 7:30 p.m., 800 Market Street. Notice hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 11 and 15. A virtual remote public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. on the application submitted by Shannon Barnes and Sean Quinn for 800 Market Street, Rockland, Mass. For a special permit pursuant to zoning bylaw sections 415-9.c11, uses requiring special permit, commercial boarding or a training kennel, and to meet the standards out forth in zoning bylaw section 415-38.3, kennels other than personal kennels. The property is located in the R2 zoning district, section 415-9 of the zoning bylaws, and is further identified as lot 8, map 54 on the Rockland Assessor's maps. The owner of the property is Shannon Barnes and Sean Quinn of 800 Market Street, Rockland, Massachusetts, 02370. So, who here from the applicant's team would like to talk to the zoning board?
Hi, this is Shannon Barnes.
Hi, Shannon. How you doing?
I'm good, doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. So why don't you let the zoning board know what you would like to do?
All right, thank you. So I kind of just prepared something, so I'll just read it. Good evening, members of the board and my fellow neighbors. My name is Shannon Barnes, and I live at 800 Market Street in Rockland. I'm here today to request a special permit to operate a small-scale boarding and daycare kennel at my home in the R2 residential district in accordance with the Rockland zoning bylaw and Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 140. My proposed operation includes both daytime dog daycare and dog boarding. Daycare would operate during daytime hours between 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Daycare boarding would not exceed 10 dogs and would mostly be small to medium-sized dogs and no dogs exceeding 80 pounds. Dogs would board in our home and in secured crates overnight. I am looking to have a small capacity operation and to minimize neighborhood impact. I will not rebook any dogs who show any signs of aggression or disruptive behaviors. I propose a maximum of 10 dogs at a time for boarding and daycare, so a total of 10. We have a 2.2 acre lot that is fenced in, and we can build outdoor runs to accommodate as many dogs as the board deems appropriate should I be granted this special permit. My plan for noise control is to build 6 feet high vinyl fence towards the back of my property, not close to my neighbors' homes. It would be built in accordance with zoning laws and about 15 to 16 feet from the fence line. I would have 4 feet evergreens planted 30 inches apart along the property line to help with any noise. Dogs will always be supervised both inside and outside of my home. Outdoor time would be limited to structured play intervals so that they will not be outside all hours of the day. All outdoor activities will cease by 5 p.m. except for a potty break before the evening is over for any dogs that are boarding. Excessive vocal dogs will be brought indoors immediately, and if this continues, they will not be permitted back. My goal is for this not to be heard from neighboring homes. All dogs will be required to be up to date on all vaccinations, including rabies. For waste management and sanitation, I will use pea stone gravel and dog run because it offers good drainage and is durable. I will buy a rust-proof aluminum dog waste station, and dog waste would be individually bagged up and stored in the station until collection days. Play areas will be disinfected daily, and urine zones will be rinsed and treated accordingly to safety. I have included a site plan to show where I propose to have dog run and waste station on our property, as well as where I keep the waste station. To prevent any traffic concerns, drop-offs would be 10 minutes apart minimum. We have a very big driveway, so cars will be able to turn around easily without backing out onto Market Street. Should I be granted a special permit, I will fully comply with Rockland zoning bylaw, all ZBA conditions, all Massachusetts kennel laws under MGL Chapter 140, 137A, and animal control inspections and licensing. After approval, I would apply for a commercial kennel license and work with animal control officer to make sure all laws are met. This kennel would be quiet, supervised, sanitary, and respectable to all my neighbors at all times. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Well done.
Thank you. I'm
No,
nervous.
it was very well done. It was nice, clear, concise. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
So board members, what I'd like to do is I'd like to put up the site plan. I'm assuming everybody's seen it, but I can put it up so that everybody can see it now.
Thank you.
Does that work for everybody?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
This. Get it up here. And turn that around so we can see it. Time. And share.
Oh.
All right. Can everybody see that?
Not yet. There we go.
All right. See if I can zoom in a little bit. All right. Does that work for everybody?
It does.
Yes.
Okay. So we're seeing that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up to the board, and we're going to see if anybody has any questions for the applicant. Mr. Baker Senior, do you have any questions for the applicant? None?
Who'd you ask? I didn't hear.
Mr. Baker Senior.
Oh, okay. The fenced-in area, is that going to be from the back to the front of the house, the back of the house, or is it?
No, so
Yeah,
it's basically just going to be a designated size. So depending on how many, if I am allowed the permit, how many dogs I'm allowed will depend the size. I based it off a 32 by 32 structured area because I was kind of going my square footage on dogs up to 15, but I'm really a small scale, so I'm not looking like it would be not necessary for me to ask for that much. But it would be its own separate area from yard. I have 2 acres of land. So my yard is fenced in. So my plan was to, dogs would be leashed, bringing them into the dog kennel area where the run is and, play area. And that's where they'll also use the bathroom and things in there. Just so they'll be separated from the yard so they won't be running along the fence line or anything. It's such a big lot. So I kind of put it back there to kind of put it behind the neighbors' homes, to, help with noise and things like that.
The fenced-in area, would it be away from the built-in pool?
Yes. It's all pretty good lease. It's all pretty spaced out from away from not only the fence line, but the pool. I don't necessarily, I don't know how the land surveyor did it, but from where I marked it out when I was looking out there was sufficient space, and it can be moved. I mean, that was just my kind of idea of where it could be good, just to be like, good to my neighbors and kind of behind their homes and stuff. But it doesn't necessarily have to be right there. It could be back a little bit further, or, over to the right a little bit further, should the board, want that from me. So that was just kind of my way of thinking, how can I kind of keep it back away from the neighbor's home so they're not looking out the windows and like having dogs like right at their view. So I was just trying to be considerate to my neighbors, and that way from the street view too, like nobody's seeing this, this is back.
Right. The proposed dog waste receptacle, is that
Yes.
is that a sealed unit, or is it just?
Yes, it's a sealed unit. You could, sorry, I first thought this was going to be in person, so I had like printouts and stuff. I didn't submit it to the town, but yeah, it's a sanitary waste station that you can purchase. It's like a $500 system, but it keeps things, secure, sanitary. And then I didn't know the only thing I didn't know is if I need to have a pickup for waste or if it's able to go out with trash weekly. So either or, I would have no problem paying for a service to come and collect said waste as many times a week as necessary. I just didn't see anything in the zoning laws about waste pickup, so I wasn't 100% sure on that. But I have no problem having that picked up as well by an outside source other than Waste Management.
Okay. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Greg, Mr. Tanzi, what do you have any questions for the applicant?
Have you had any, have you ever run a daycare or a kennel before?
Yeah, so so my family has a grooming business that they've had for years. So before I moved to Rockland, I was already boarding dogs, and I worked for the grooming company itself. When I moved to Rockland, I was here for a couple of years, and then I started boarding through rover.com. I learned from the animal control officer recently that you had to get the special permits, and I had contacted him because I had a dog here that was booked through Rover. And then I learned from him that there was all these other things I need to do now that I'm a resident here. And and I was very transparent, and I felt really bad. I didn't understand I was breaking any laws. But I've done this for over 10 years total. I'm very I'm very good with dogs. And like the space I have is just so wonderful for it. I don't know, if anyone has problems with it, but it really is a good spot. And it's kind of like kicked back because I have 160 acres of woods behind me as well. So it's not like, I just feel like it's a good spot, and I'm really good with the dogs, and I take it really, really responsibly. There would never be a dog even left in the house alone without somebody 18 or older in my home.
So, is that pool still existing in your backyard?
Yes, it's an above ground. The fence is above the top. It's a kayak pool, and it's got the fence built around the top.
I've noticed you've got a wire fence. Describe what that wire fence is.
So I'm not sure. Are you looking at like the middle of the yard? So down the side we have a wooden fence down
across the.
So across the back there, that's like a 6-foot high yield. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know exactly what it's made out of, but it was basically like to keep, animals from being able to get out of the back of the property. But that's before, that would be like an extra measure, I guess, because if we were allowed the special permit, the dogs are going to have a completely secured, their own separate, built-in area that they will be, leashed and brought into. But also we could redo fencing on the property if that's, asked of us to do that. It's just basically an added security measure. So, we have little ones too. So, our little ones can't get out of the yard and things like that.
Well, I've got a concern of how secure your backyard is for dogs, running around.
Well, they wouldn't be running around, sir. They'd be in a specific, designated area. So they would be leashed and brought into that area. However, if you wanted added security on top of that, we do have somebody who's willing to lend us the money to, it's just a lot of land. So I mean, it'd be a hefty job to fence it completely across the back. Because if you look at my property, it kind of goes out towards the
Yeah.
back. So I mean, it's not anything that we couldn't address. It just, my plan was to have this separate secured, 6-foot high vinyl fenced in area that the dogs would never be loose out in the main part of the yard. They would be brought directly in there on leash. But like I said, if that's another security thing and that's something that would hold us back, I have no problem putting in more investments to be able to do that.
See, I'm looking at Google Earth. I'm looking at 800. And I'm seeing, it looks like somebody had a quad or a 4-wheeler that was
That
like
was,
going in.
yeah, I think those are
how-
from before we lived here.
How long have you lived there?
We moved in 2020, but if you're looking at the same aerial that I did when we moved in, it looked like really rough on the property. Like we've done a lot of cleanup here. It was really rough shape. The previous owner had been putting trash into the ground and everything. So we've literally been clearing out and making it, safe again because there was so much stuff. But no, we're not driving quad. We did have a ATV with a plow on it that we use kind of in the winter time for the driveway, but it's not in service.
And you say you're going to have 10 dogs at a time?
So on average, I don't even have that much. It's just like holidays, you could get more dogs. So I have 2 boys here at home that have autism. One's 5 and one's 2. And I have in-home ABA therapy. So the therapists come and they work with them. I just have to have somebody 18 or older here while they work with them. They work with them individually. I'm not a part of that. So it's ideal for me to be able to work from home. I'm not looking to become a big timer here. Like I'm not looking to put signs out front my house or anything hectic like that. It would just be smaller dogs to boot at that. And then just being able to, like holidays, like July, when July 4th comes, Christmas comes, things like that. That's when you can, that's like what you would call your big money times of the year. And then some weeks you have none at all. So majority of the time I might not even have dogs. I just want to have that, availability to be able to do it because I mean, me not being able to work because I have in-home therapists coming here, it's like very vital for us. I mean, our property taxes alone are like $8,000 a year. So it's just kind of to help offset some of those costs that we have without like interfering with like my neighbors. We have great neighbors here. So we're not trying to upset anybody or anything like that. And we'd be open to any suggestions from them as well. It should be approved the special permit.
Okay, so when you let them out, you say that they're all going to be on a leash. Do you let them out one at a time or?
No, I mean, so before I was doing this, no, I had it fenced and they couldn't get out. So we, that's just by going by the zoning laws and what you guys require from learning about this. That was what was in the zoning laws. Like you have to have even the animal control officer, when I met with him and we were talking about stuff and going over stuff, he was saying like, it's very important that these dogs have their own separate fenced in area. They shouldn't have this much access to the yard sort of thing. So that's why I was like, that totally makes sense because it's obviously safer if you have them in a small area. I have a huge lot, and even though I have it fenced off, so like it's cut off from like the back of the driveway to like where you see that wired fence. It's like there's still a good bit in the back of the property that we really don't even, we don't even touch. I clean up and mow back there, but I mean, it's just land that's not being used. So they wouldn't have access to all of that. My suggestion was to bring them on leash with, if I get the special permit, I get my kennel license to abide by animal control laws as well, because they're separate than yours, is to leash them, bring them directly in there, because that's what animal control is telling me I need to do. They say that they should not have access to the rest of the yard. So my proposal to make sure of that is to keep them 100% on the leash while they're outdoors, bring them into that area, take them off the leash when they're secured inside that fenced in area so that they can play and go, use the facility, go use the bathroom and stuff. But again, like I said, I have no problem like taking extra measures to secure the yard. Should they get off a leash, God forbid. The way we're fenced in now, there's nobody can get out.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman. You're muted, Rob.
Sorry, Mr. Baker Jr., do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to the applicant. If I'm looking at the plan correctly, is the enclosure for the dogs off to the sort of mid-left in blue?
Yeah, so it'd be like towards I propose, and like I said, it can go on the opposite side of the yard as well. But it's like if you're facing the back of the woods to my house, it's to the left.
Mhm.
And it's back past, it's probably a good 15 feet past where the pool is. And it's like
Yeah.
in that little area right there.
And what?
It's not damning that it has to be there. I was just trying to take in consideration of all my neighbors. You know what I mean? It can go more into the center of the yard if needed, or, anywhere. I was just literally trying to say, okay, I want to be respectable to my neighbors across the street and here and there that don't have so much of a visual effect from it. So that's why I kind of placed it there. But that's just, like I said, we have so much more land that it's like, it's not imperative that it has to go there.
And what are the dimensions of that enclosure?
I was thinking a 32 by 32, but that was like, because it said, I forget what the square footage per dog was that it said under the laws. But I kind of, when I was doing calculations, was trying to factor in up to 15 dogs. So it can actually be smaller than that, I believe, by square footage if I'm only going for 10 dogs.
Okay.
I don't want to say a number on what it was per square footage per dog because I can't remember.
No, I was just curious as to the size. That's all.
Yeah, like I said, technically, I think it can be smaller than what I proposed because originally when I was going to do my proposal, I was going to propose for 15. I'm just like, it's not realistic. I don't take 15 dogs, even though I have 2 people over 18 that could help me with them. It's just not something I'm going to do here. I'm still going to be 10 or under, on average 3 to 4 dogs at a time. I mean, it's just, like I said, with the bigger weeks in the year, the holidays, that's when I was kind of hoping that, if I'm approved, I could get approved up to that. And then animal control said for the inside of the house, the requirements would be 1 crate per dog. So like if I was going to have 10 dogs, I have to have appropriate sized cages or crates for those dogs to be put in when they're, overnight.
Now that black line that's running to the left of the enclosure, is that the property line or is that just a fence?
I think that's just a fence.
Okay.
The property line goes right to the trail. So like our line, we literally go like right before where the trail starts.
Okay. Just to follow up on a question about the waste disposal.
Sure.
You're breaking up, Robert.
How frequently would you anticipate that waste being removed from the premises?
Well, I was thinking on a weekly basis, but I mean, again, that would be depending on dogs because some weeks I don't have any. But if I had, like, say I had 10 dogs repetitively daily, I mean, it could definitely be a pickup for twice a week if needed. Like I said, I didn't really see specifics in the zoning laws about what the requirements for pickup was. Like, am I able to put them in its own separate bags and then put them with my trash pickup every week? Or do I need to have a specialist come? That's I'm unclear of. But again, for both of those options, I would go by whatever recommendations are by the board for waste removal. I have no problem with that. But my ideal plan would be, since I don't have a lot of dogs here, is to individually bag them, store them in the waste station, and then on the morning of trash pickup, to have those removed. I do pay for an extra barrel every week. But if that's not something the town wants, I have no problem. There is services that you can pay for to have that picked up. It won't be excessive amounts, you know what I mean? And maybe during busy weeks, like holiday weeks and stuff like that, that's why I think we'll be looking at more excessive amounts but like on average, some weeks I might not have any dogs at all. It just really depends on, when people travel and that sort of thing. Because like, again, I'm not trying to be this big business, like I'm just trying to make a little ends meet here to help out with some of the expenses with our bills.
Of course. Regarding the overnight boarding, I assume that would take place in the house?
Yes, they would be inside the house at all times. The
And
way I was running it before was like it was like a home setting. So when your dog was like on, you go on vacation, your dog was on vacation. They could sleep in my bed, the couch. Animal control says no, you have to have traits. But I was trying to. That was kind of the atmosphere I was going for. So I mean, I'd have. He was like, "Where do the dogs sleep?" And I'm like, on my bed, on the couch." Like, they're most of the dogs that I even take, I've known for years. So it's not like, and I don't board pit bulls or Rottweilers or Doberman pinchers. I don't even board labs because they're so food driven. So like, I'm very specific on that part too, for safety, of course, because they're around my family. So, I try to be very responsible.
and I'm assuming if there are dogs or a dog even being boarded in the house, that there would be a person there at all times.
All times, all times. I mean, when you get into it, I mean, I don't know if you guys own your own dogs, but when you get into this kind of line of thing, that these are people's kids. You know what I mean? So you can treat them just like they're your own kids or family, and because you don't want nothing to happen to them, especially underneath your watch and stuff. So it's like, and as I said before, I didn't know I was breaking any law, but there's no dogs have been injured on my watch or anything like that. So, that's why, like, I feel like, I would take this. I feel like everyone would be pleased with me. I would take it very, very seriously.
And one final question, just really out of curiosity, nothing to do with this specific application. But you had indicated no dogs over 80 pounds. Is that because of space considerations?
No, I mean, our house is decent size. But no, it's just, like I said, it's because I have the small children and stuff. So it's just like a preference. Like, I think smaller dogs are just more manageable. I would never, and I said, I might have the like odd golden retriever or something I take. I don't really think they're much over 80 pounds. And there's a couple Bernedoodles that I've known over the years that I love. But for the most part, it's like you're talking about small dogs, like little Frenchies and Poodles and that kind of dog, like the Dosh hounds. Like I mostly board smaller dogs, and that's kind of how it would continue as well. But I would never have 10 80-pound dogs in my house at once. I do a mixed ratio as well. So it would be, how many small dogs, and you might have one or two bigger sized dogs, but it wouldn't be 8 to 8 to 10 of the 80-pound ones at once either. And that's just preference, sir. You know what I mean? I think I lost you.
Yeah, Bob, something's going on with your mic again.
I said, when I said I only had one more question, I guess I didn't tell the truth, because another one occurred to me. You had mentioned having a background in grooming. You don't plan on doing any grooming here, do you?
No, I wasn't actually a groomer. I was a bather. So I didn't do scissor cuts or anything like that. I did baths, but no, I don't have the equipment here for that. That's a whole different thing, safety wise. Number one, because you have to have special sinks and everything to even be able to give a dog a bath. So no, there would certainly be no grooming activity going on here. There never has been.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the information and for your answers. I appreciate it.
All right, sounds like we're satisfied, Mr. Baker Senior, Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Galley, do you have any questions for the applicant, sir?
Yeah, I was just curious. You said you'd be operating it with your children at home at the time. So would there be any gates or something that keep the
Yes, we
separate
have
from the dogs?
Yes, we have. So we do have safety and animal control. Sorry, I let him into my house to kind of show him around. But we have safety gates that separate all of our rooms. So even dogs can't get upstairs if I don't want them to. We have 2 living rooms, like a family room, a living room. So yes, it's very separated. I don't tend to let the little ones too much near the dogs, because little kids can pull an ear, or unless it's like a small dog we've had forever, and they're just like, dogs are like, they think that they're like their own family,
Yeah.
But yeah, relatively the smaller, I have 2 teenagers. So I have a 20-year-old, and then I have a 16-year-old, and then I started over. So I have the 5 and 2-year-old. But my 5-year-old's really gone in the day till 3 at school. He goes to Edson. And then my other son, he's 2, but he has ABA therapists that are coming 5 days a week that work with him for several hours in the day, because he has severe autism. Well, they say severe autism, but like he's really he's thriving and doing very, very well. So which is very, very good for me, because I don't have to be in the room while they're working with him all these hours. So I'm able to dedicate those times to that, Thursdays we leave for speech therapy in the morning. Both of my boys have speech therapy. I wouldn't do daycare on Thursday mornings until after we're back, if anything, because I'm not going to be here. So
Yeah.
like, that's kind of how I've done things in the past. Because I don't even my errands and stuff revolve around my partner being home or my 20-year-old son being home. So there's usually somebody always here anyways. Like, I don't know when my houses are ever really empty. But this is why like this would be so huge for me if I'm able to get this approved. And again, I would be very respectful to my neighbors, any concerns they had, anything, and abide by any recommendations, or what is asked of me with no problems.
Okay, good, because that's the one question that was open in my mind about the children. I know you're going to protect your children, but I'm just
Oh,
mean, like,
yeah.
but part of the story was one of the documents we were given was incident with the child. So I was just wondering, like, what, obviously you must have taken something to either correct it or it was a one-off, and I was just curious what the default settings were. And I think
that's just what it is like the gates. And like I said, like
Yeah.
the only time I would crate a dog is if the owners had brought the crates because they were crated at home.
Right.
But most of the dogs, I mean, they're very comfortable here. And like, but I said, when the animal control told me, I was like, well, obviously I'll do what the laws say. I'm like, but it's kind of sad you have to throw them all in cages, when they're the best dogs.
No, thank you. That was my open concern. So I have no more questions at this time. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Galley. Now it's my turn. I'm gonna stop sharing this because I've been over this site plan a million times. All right. So, what I have to look at is some of the recommendations from the dog officer, the animal control officer. Let's see what we got here. What's that? Open this thing. Here we go. All right. So what we got is a letter from Officer Davidson. It's dated November 19th, 2025. Let's see. This supersedes a previous letter that he had given us. So this is where he stands. I can read the letter if you want. And does everybody want? I can read the letter, or I can email it to Steve if you don't have it. I can email it to you so you can read it. Doesn't matter to me.
I thought if you want to email it to me, because I know I saw a letter. Yep. But it's probably mixed in with one of my emails here.
Oh, again, it probably is not a big deal. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds here. Yeah. If I start to glitch out, it's because I'm actually using my internet. Hold on.
Who was it from? The animal control officer?
Yeah,
November 19th.
that's the one.
I found it. I just wasn't sure. I keep my emails open so I could bounce through them.
All right. If you wanna read that, just into the record, I can
Okay,
start
yeah,
asking questions based on that.
Okay, good. So this is the letterhead says Rockland Police Department, and this says Town of Rockland Board of Zoning Appeals 11/19/2025. To whom it may concern, I've been asked to provide my opinion on the application for a commercial kennel permit for the resident at 800 Market Street by Ms. Shannon Barnes. I have reviewed the proposed site plan and application submitted, and I am comfortable with both, but with the understanding that all conditions required for the permit will be completed and subject to my inspection prior to final commercial kennel permit is issued by the clerk's office. In my discussion with Ms. Barnes, I raised 2 concerns that I have. The first is proper fencing to prevent any dog from running loose, which I believe will be rectified with proper fencing. The second concern is the children in the home with multiple dogs. My first interaction with Ms. Barnes was on July 14th, 2025, with an urgent call from Ms. Barnes requesting assistance with a dog that she was boarding that had tried to bite her daughter at the kitchen counter and then herself as she was putting it out in the backyard. I assisted with contacting the dog's owner and having the dog picked up and removed from the property. It was at this time that I informed Ms. Barnes that she needed a proper kennel permit to run her operations. I ordered her to cease her operations until the permit was in place or face a civil citation of $500. On August 8th, 2025, I was called for a loose dog running down Market Street. I learned the dog was that no, I learned the dog was a dog that Miss Barnes was boarding for the owner, who was away in France for a week and had escaped from her yard. The dog was taken to the owner's father's home in Hingham, and Miss Barnes was issued a $500 civil citation and again ordered to cease operations until a permit was in place. She was informed that a second violation will result in a $1,000 fee. The citation issued is currently being
No.
appealed. It's just what the letter says.
No,
The
sorry. One of the kids is knocking on my door.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
All right, good.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. No
I
hard
forgot I was not a mute.
For the record, her comment was not part of the letter.
Yes.
Okay, I will continue.
Although it kind of is, but no, I mean.
No, I get you. Okay, I will continue. The citation issued is currently being appealed by Miss Barnes in district court. My main concern with the kennel operation at Miss Barnes' home is that Miss Barnes told me in conversations that while dogs boarded at her home, they have free run, quote unquote, free run in the home, coming and going from room to room and sleeping where they choose to make them feel more at home. I understand this idea, but I have concern with multiple dogs that she knows little about in the home with small children and the potential for interaction resulting in injuries. It is my responsibility as the animal control officer to protect all residents and animals in our town. I would feel more comfortable if I was assured that the dogs being boarded at the home or kept separate from the space where the children are playing and sleeping. Respectfully submitted, Ian Davidson, Animal Control Officer, Rockland Police Department.
Thank you, Steve. I'm going to base my questions and thoughts on this. And the first one, the 32 by 32 foot area, we want to keep the dogs outside. It said that it was going to be, it was going to have a roof on it. It was gonna be
Yes.
covered. So is it going to be environmentally sealed, I guess? I mean, is there going to be heat in there? I mean, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
No, there
really
wasn't
what it-
plan. There wasn't a plan for heating. I didn't see anything about that. Is that a
Okay.
requirement? So it was just basically going to be to keep them from like getting wet from the rain,
Yeah.
snow, inclement weather. They're not going to be sleeping outside. They'll be in my home. But that was kind of, I mean, I don't know if that's a requirement. I mean, I didn't see anything about that.
No, I
Um,
don't believe that's a requirement. I was just asking because it's
Sure. No, I mean,
again,
the plan was just to put the roof, have a roof put on so they can stay dry, and then obviously shade from the sun and things like that on hotter days.
Okay, all right, that's it. That's fine. Is there going to be a dog run area anywhere on site? Like a chain run or a wire run or something like that?
I mean, I'd like to have one, if allowed. I mean, so your rules to animal control rules are different. Like in the zoning laws, it says you have to have the 6 foot high vinyl wood fence. He's saying chain link fence. Obviously, I have to go by the ZBA, so it'll be the 6 foot high. I would like to be able to have a small like chain like run off of that to give them more room to run. It's not necessary. So, I mean, that would just like, again, I'd be going off recommendation, like whatever whatever is proposed to me, if you guys should accept me that I need to do, I'm going to comply with all. But to be honest, I mean, that is something I would like to have a little bit, to give them a little more room to run, because I mean, having a 6 foot high vinyl fence, you know what I mean, going through your yard is like a lot too. But to give them a little bit more of a run, I wouldn't mind, adding some kind of 5 foot, 6 foot high chain link type of run off of that. But it's not necessary.
No, the only reason why I ask is a 32 by 32 foot area, square, really isn't much for a dog to run in.
I didn't think so either. Again, I was just kind of going offline because I thought it was great just if I have the yard all completely secured and fenced in to let them run, and done. Officer David said, no. So I said, obviously I respect this. This is my job. I'm not the animal control. I'm not part of the ZBA. So I'm just what I want and what is expected or by law is probably different, so but yes, I would like to have that if it's an option. I would like to have a run built off of that.
Okay. The second issue that I see that Ian raised was with the small children in the home and having again, I want to go worst case
Yeah.
scenario, the 10 dogs, having 10 dogs in the house. Is there a separate place where all these dogs in the house are going to be that's away from any children. Children can't get to them. And again, this is for like a doggy daycare type thing.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said, we have a dining room, we have a second living room, and then we have a huger kitchen space. We have a separate living room that's completely off of that no dogs are allowed to at all. That's like where my younger ones might hang out. And then upstairs, the dogs aren't typically allowed upstairs at all. I have gates everywhere. And Ian Davidson, he saw this when he came here. Like I had gates separating from room to room, from upstairs to downstairs. Sort of that I called him about. It's never happened. But this woman she went to book me off a Rover, and I was at a supermarket, and I said, I'm not home right now. She says it's an emergency. And, whereabouts do you live? And I was like, I live at 800 Market Street. So thinking she's trying to figure out where I was. She literally drove straight to my house. She hadn't even booked me on the app. And then she took off. So we didn't know anything about that. I don't operate like this. It was very sketchy. The same day, my 16-year-old daughter, it was like she texted and said something about the dog being like a little food driven. I don't take dogs that are food driven also because, you never know. And she was it jumped up on the counter and tried to get her plate of food. And she went to pull back the plate. And that's when it kind of went like it was going to bite at her for the food. And that's when I instantly went into protective mode to get the dog out of the house. I did what I thought was right, call the police right away. No, first I tried to call the owner to come get her dog. She was not responsive to me. And then I called the Rockland Police Department and I explained the situation. Then Ian Davidson called me, but I was already like really upset when he called, and he was screaming at me. He's like, "You're breaking the law." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. Like, first let's like calm down. Like, I just need to know what I need to do in the situation because I have the dog locked outside. He's safe, like away from my family sort of deal." It's not normally like that. Normally, like I said, the dogs they can be separated. I mean, he knows I have the space for it too. It's just the way I was kind of doing things for so long. They were regular dogs that I normally took. I didn't really take any new dogs. So they were dogs that I did take were dogs that I've had known for years. So like they would be like laying on our laps on the couch and stuff. Like the older kids, like I say kids, my 20-year-old son and the 16-year-old. But yes, we can totally separate for daycare. Most of the kids are not home during the day, anyways, when the daycare hours would be going on. Just my younger son, who's working separately with the ABA therapists in a separate room away from dogs at all times. He's always away from the dogs at all times. So yes, and they can be crated. I wasn't crating before, but now that I know laws, like, yes, they certainly can be crated when they need to be crated. I haven't gone and I slowly started getting crates because Ian Davidson told me to start, or Officer Davidson told me to start like collecting crates when people are giving them away and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I have been slowly doing that to help on some of the costs should I be allowed this. I just haven't put any investments in yet because you guys could tell me no. But I have no problem getting more security, more separation, like whatever I need to do. No problem doing it whatsoever, sir.
That's understood. Again, just as a part of the zoning bylaw, it talks about inside pens shall be of the form.
Right.
So
right.
If
I understand that my methods need to change. You know what I mean? I just wanted a more naturalistic kind of thing. So I totally get from reading up on the laws, learning about Ollie's law and things like that. I totally get why these things need to be in place. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. And then there we go. So backyard system content. Okay. Let's talk about a dog that you were boarding that tried to bite your dog. All right. I know you touched on that. You did. Yes. You did touch on that.
Yes. How
old is your daughter again?
16.
Okay, so she's of reasonable age.
Yeah.
Okay. That's someone who should.
I don't know that he was gonna bite her, but he was going for that food. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, nope. I don't like dogs that to be in my home that are gonna be aggressive. They immediately have to be, replaced. They need. I have no problem. Like the only time I had to do this was with this one particular dog. Was the owner when Ian Davidson got in touch with her. Had to rebook to another sitter. So I actually drove that dog to Braintree and dropped it off to the new sitter and got it out of my home. But I don't really plan on taking any new dogs either, especially after that, because that kind of shook me up a little bit.
No, understood. Is there a way to cordon off an entire area for just the dogs? Keep
Yeah.
the family away from these dogs, all of them.
Yes, I could utilize, I mean, my basement's not free finished right now, but we do have, like, again, that family room and our dining room we don't even use. So I could specifically make those areas for dogs when they're here.
It sounds like
And that's away from everybody because everyone has their own spaces and stuff.
that would kind of solve that problem of
Yes.
of-
Those are kind of the rooms I use anyways. You know what I mean? I don't normally have like a million dogs sleeping in my bed. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that's kind of normally how it goes. Like I said, the only thing is I only created when owners provided those crates because I was trying to make it very comfortable. That would obviously should it be approved, every owner that's going to bring the dogs to my care is going to know that they are going to have to be crated and they're going to have, it's going to be a little bit different around here.
No, it's absolutely understood. There were a couple of other concerns in the, in Officer Davidson's letter. I'm
Sure.
not too worried about them because again, you seem pretty adamant that you're going to do exactly what we're telling you to do if we were to grant you the application or grant as a permit.
And I don't know if I have time, but I wanted to touch on one part of what he said about that dog. The little dog had gotten out. I had canceled all the as soon as I learned I was breaking the law. I canceled all the reservations I had. I'm talking the busiest month of the year, August. So I lost like probably $5,000 or $6,000 for that month. But I sent Ian Davidson like receipts that I canceled those bookings. One dog who she wasn't rebooking me through Rover. I had completely forgot that she was coming. So the day she brought her dog, I wasn't even home. This all happened very quickly. So she brought the dog. My older two kids were home. So my older son got the dog from her. And then I wasn't home and I was like panicking because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to, you know what I mean, get in trouble with him. My daughter took the dog outside, which she's never supposed to do, period. And she had taken the little dog outside. The gate hadn't been secured. So the dog was able to get out. It all happened so fast. I swore it was the good Lord. He's like, get your stuff in order. And so I was in a panic. But when Ian pulled into my driveway with the dog, he was on the phone. I went up and I was like, oh, I saw the dog was with us. So I was so thankful. He put his hand up. He was very angry with me. The officers told me that he was on his way to dinner with his wife. He wasn't thrilled about it. He didn't give me an opportunity to speak that day. That's why I'm appealing it, because I could have showed him it was a misunderstanding. I wasn't trying to board this dog. Security measures would have been, like I said, I take it very seriously. I don't have my 16-year-old daughter taking care of dogs. This is just like, it was a one-off thing. I wasn't home and I didn't know. So I just wanted to kind of touch base and explain why that situation happened. And, and then I had told Ian Davidson I was never even going to take a dime from her either because she was on her way to France. I didn't know what to do. So I said, by law, you can take dogs if you're not getting paid for it. He says, and I tried to explain this to him. He said, you are going to get paid for it. And I said, look, I'm telling you, I've been very transparent here. I have all the text messages between him and I to show that I'm trying to do the right thing. I need to offset this $8,000 property taxes I'm paying a year. And so some little things to help my partner out so that we don't lose our home, and that's all I'm trying to do here.
I understand. As a homeowner myself, I understand. So again, I'm just going over here, just looking at that. That's not a big deal. I think everything else we've kind of already touched on, so that's not too big of a deal. At this point, I really have no other questions that I need to really think about. So I'd like to go to, let's see, the only other person that I see that may have something to talk about, Allison, do you have anything you want to talk about here?
The only thing that I can share is that when Miss Barnes did become aware of the fact that she was operating a business out of her home that was not permitted without, it's allowed by special permit, right? She, as soon as she understood that she was doing something that she wasn't supposed to be doing, she did immediately come to town hall and ask about the process to acquire a special permit. I can't speak to anything else except for that one. That is a fact that happened. She did come down immediately and try to figure out how to rectify the problem.
No, that's good. That's the kind of thing that we want to see.
And the town hall's been wonderful, I might add, because I feel like I live there.
She does.
I dig it. I understand. Absolutely. At this point, I'm going to open it up to the general public. Is there anybody that wants to speak in favor of this application? Hearing none, is there anybody that wants to speak opposed to this application? Hearing none. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open it back up to the board. Anybody have any questions that kind of just popped up during the? Mr. Baker Jr., talk to me, sir.
I may be thinking of the wrong case, but did Chief Zioli submit a letter on this matter?
Zioli, no.
Okay, that was just a letterhead that the.
Yeah, I was thinking because he's a police officer, so it's coming directly from the police
Okay.
police department. Anybody else?
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Baker Senior.
one quick note.
Sure.
The applicant was warned twice about not being licensed.
Mhm.
Not just the one time after the dog escaped, it was twice within a month.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then
Well, there was
she,
nothing after the dog escaped.
when you called to
That
help,
was before. Yeah. So when I called for help, that was right before that. So I had canceled out all my bookings and I got proof of that. And I sent all of that to Ian Davidson. There was one woman I forgot about because she wasn't booking me through Rover. I pay taxes on this. So Rover is, I had gone through background checks and everything to even do this job. And I've been paying taxes for years on it. That dog incident happened after that. And I wasn't boarding anymore. It was just like an unfortunate thing because she didn't even text me until she brought the dog to my house. And I was taking my son to Braintree at the time. He was going to a game. So I wasn't around. So that all happened within an hour of her bringing that dog, all of it. And it was like, again, a nightmare. I was hysterical. I mean, I was not trying to step on Ian Davidson's toes or anything like that. And I assure you, there was no incidents after that as well. I'm just appealing it because I feel like I have grounds to do so because I can show him that I did cancel everything. I was trying to be as
Mr. Chairman,
transparent as I
we
could.
heard this. We heard all.
No, I know it, and you wanted to bring it up that she'd been again warned twice. That's what you wanted to
Yeah.
bring up, correct?
That's all I wanted.
Okay. No, and I appreciate that. We know that situation. It's been discussed, so we're good there. Mr. Gallo.
Yes. This is not to rebut what Mr. Baker Senior said, but because you brought up the subject and it was on my mind, I was going to wait till we did deliberating.
Mhm.
I was just going to mention that the animal control officer mentioned the two incidences, but in no way expressed a concern that he didn't have a trust that she would abide by any decisions or rules or laws. I didn't feel like there was any doubt as to his trust of her, were she to be approved, that she wouldn't follow the rules, follow the laws and the bylaws. So, I mean, as far as getting a sense of his opinion, professional opinion on the matter and legal opinion as it bears on it, I just want to say that out loud. I was waiting to say that till later, but because it's a topic now, I just figured I'd share that because it's a current topic.
I
And
appreciate that. And I can promise you guys that I fully intend to work with Ian Davidson. I've been trying to ask him questions but I fully intend on making him, I know he works his butt off in this town.
Yeah.
I don't want there to be bad blood between me and him. I want to be able to work with him and I want to be able to help him if I'm in a position where he needs a dog boarded and I can help him if that's something that's allowed. So I want to be on good terms with him. I have no problem. I just feel like we had a bad start and like I said, everything I want to do is for the good of I don't want to upset, even if my neighbors come to me and they're upset with me about anything, I want that to be addressed. I don't want there to be bad blood. I don't want people to be uncomfortable. I don't want people to be annoyed by noises or anything. So I will take this very seriously. I can promise you guys that.
All right. If the board has no other questions, I can
Motion to close the hearing.
I got a motion to close the
Second.
open portion of the public hearing. I got a second on Mr. Baker. Again, Baker sandwich. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior.
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Baker Junior.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
All right. Open portion is closed. So, Ms. Barnes, I'm going to read to you from my cheat sheet here. So I'm just going to turn it off and I'm going to look at it. So here we go. Ms. Barnes, the board will deliberate tonight and you are welcome to stay. You will receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp. 21 days from the date stamp on the decision, assuming you're approved. Go to the town clerk's office, request a certificate of no appeal, If no one has appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. Okay?
This will, sorry, will this all be written down again for me somewhere?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We'll make sure that you have, that you have everything. Again, we're gonna be deliberating tonight, so we're gonna figure out if this is all gonna work.
Oh, thank you so much.
No,
And
not a
thank you for
problem.
your time and consideration.
Oh, absolutely. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get on to the second hearing for the evening. Let's see. I saw Attorney Galvin, so he's still in there, and I think he's in his car right now. So let me get back to. All right, 7:40 p.m. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Sections 11 and 15. A virtual remote public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. on the appeal of the decision of the building commissioner / zoning enforcement officer pursuant to 415-92 submitted by CM Futures LLC of 189 Greenwood Street, Rockland, Mass, seeking to overturn the zoning enforcement officer's findings that provisions of Mass General Law Chapter 40A, Section 6 result in a merger, and that the provisions of Section 405-26.b do not protect against merger. I think that's supposed to be 415. The property is located in the R2 resident zoning district, 415-9, the zoning bylaw, and is identified as Lot 36, Map 23 on the Rockland Assessors Maps. The owner of the property, CM Futures LLC, 39 Donna Drive, Hanover, Massachusetts, 02339. So, all right, we've done this already. We've kind of already done this. We've heard the applicant's side. Very quickly, Attorney Patch, would you like to just refresh our memories as to where we left off?
Well, I think we left off. I tried to give you a basic summary of what the issue is.
Of why you think these two lots have not merged?
Okay, the lots
Right.
haven't merged. Right, it's because of the provisions of your zoning bylaw.
Okay, so we've got that. So based on that, we had questions, and that's why we asked that Attorney Galvin attend this continuance hearing. Attorney Galvin, you're muted right now, but I'd like to get you kind of in play here. You know the issues at hand, and again, Attorney Patch is coming to us saying that our zoning bylaw protects the merger.
Rob, Mr. Chair, just so you know, it's just not that provision. It's everything as a whole, and that's what I've tried to lay out
Yep,
in the
we
memo.
understand.
Basically. Okay.
Attorney Patch, we understand.
Okay.
Attorney Galvin understands. I need to hear something that says that that either these lots have or can merge, or they can't merge. I think the board needs to hear them. Attorney Galvin, can you weigh in on this?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there's a little bass going on. It sounds like your subwoofer's a little bit.
I'm not sure. I'm just holding my
Oh, there we
computer.
go. There we go. It's a little clearer.
Okay. It was my computer's sitting in my lap and I'm in my vehicle.
Yep. No, I
Okay.
kind of figured that. Sorry, sir.
That's all right. The way I look at it is not necessarily the current owner of the property, but the prior owner of the property, Mr. Unwin, acquired two lots that became non-conforming as a result of the town's adoption of zoning. There is a provision that protects an undersized lot in 415-26B. And if that lot had remained in separate ownership, there may have been some protection that was afforded to one lot or the other. But my understanding is during the Unwin ownership, the other property was acquired. A house was constructed on, I believe, lot 2 and not lot 1. My understanding is that the current owner the LLC has acquired both lots. And by operational law, when abutting parcels come into common ownership, they merge when they're in common ownership for zoning purposes. And I think when you look at the provisions of 415-26, subsection A prevents a lot that, reading it literally, it says the area and dimension of any lot shall not be reduced to less than the minimum required according to this bylaw. And my understanding is, I'm not exactly sure of the square footage of the two lots, but I know that it doesn't have enough frontage for two lots. So you have an issue with that issue. And then the subsection B is if a lot is already less than the minimum required by this bylaw, the area and or dimension may be continued, but shall not be further reduced. And in order to divide off this lot and do anything else with it, you would, in my view, once there's a merger, be violating these provisions of the bylaw. And it does not appear that the lots qualify for the merger protection from the recent change to the general laws, because each lot wouldn't have a minimum 75 feet of frontage on a street. So I just don't see where the provisions of our zoning bylaw afford them the measure of protection that would avoid the need for a variance to divide up this lot.
Clear, pretty well done. Attorney Patch, what do you what do you want to say to that?
Well, Attorney Galvin's statement rests on the assumption that the lots have merged, and it's not in dispute, although a lot of us disagree with the whole merger doctrine. It's not in dispute that the case law says that there's a presumption of merger. It's not automatic. One of the things you have to do is, for example, you would look at 40A and see whether or not there's protections in the statute. And we're familiar with the 5,000 square feet, 50 feet of frontage, separate ownership provision. And there's this recent provision from last summer, the 10,000 square foot, 75 feet of frontage issue. There are protections in the statute in 40A from merger occurring. The second way you prevent merger from occurring is if the local zoning bylaw has provisions that prevent merger, that in other words, continue to give the lot separate identity so that it doesn't merge with the adjoining lot for zoning purposes. And again, I emphasize the case law says, and I would hope Attorney Galvin would agree with me, is that it's a presumption. It's not automatic. And because you have to look to the statute, then you have to, and if there's nothing in the statute, then you have to look to your local zoning bylaw to see whether or not there's provisions that that the property falls under that would result in the lot continuing to have a separate identity. And unfortunately, what had happened was, and I think I tried to explain before, when we were doing our initial due diligence, we had looked at this, the 26B provision, but the way I had left it with Attorney Galvin was I needed to dig into it further. And that's when I went, and I think I explained to the board last time that, I spent several hours at the town clerk's office as well as the library going through town reports and zoning, previous zoning bylaws to the extent that the town clerk had them from the inception, from 1958. And so what I found was in 1958 was the original zoning bylaw was this prior recorded lot provision, which clearly provides that a provision that a vacant lot such as this can continue to have its legal viability as a lot under zoning. And the condition was, it's not artfully worded, but it appears that the condition is you can't have two vacant lots next to each other. You could have a house on one or structure, whatever on one, and if the lot was vacant. And that was, in effect, the wording, and you have it, was prior to the first hearing notice of hearing by the planning board on the original zoning bylaw, and that was in February of 1958. So it's not in dispute that the house was constructed, I believe, in the late 40s. So this situation clearly falls under that provision. In 1975, when this 26B provision came into effect, that prior recorded lot provision was still in existence. So this vacant lot had an identity, separate identity. It had not merged as a result of the prior recorded lot provision. It had a separate identity that 26B applies to. And 26B, the language that you really have to focus on is, the continuation language of 26B, because the whole point of merger is something may not be continued as a lot. 26B says a lot may be continued, and it's talking about essentially a non-conforming lot, which this was or is. So our position is, and unfortunately, we didn't have a chance to explain that to Attorney Galvin, and again, like, I'm not going to rehash the whole situation with the zoning enforcement officer about that position. So that's where I differ from Attorney Galvin. He presumes that the lot merged prior to this provision, the 26B provision coming into effect in 1975. And I've pointed out to a provision in the bylaw showing it doesn't merge because of this from the inception, from the prior recorded lot provision. And that's in the materials as well.
Well, that's understood. Thank you, Attorney Patch.
Yep.
Hearing that, Attorney Galvin, do you have anything to say about what Attorney Patch is talking about here?
I think we just have a fundamental disagreement. I mean, Attorney Patch has, made a good argument, and I disagree that merger isn't automatic. I do think merger is automatic, and the division of this lot, even if it's completely non-conforming or there's some non-conforming aspect of this thing, would result in a lot that is more non-conforming, and I think we have an issue, and I think it's automatic, and I think that's where we differ from one another.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Rose,
Board
can I ask a
members?
quick question?
Sure. Who's coming up here?
Robert Fell,
Rob.
CM Futures.
What's going on, sir?
The question is directed to Galvin, but I think I have to address it to you specifically. So
No, you can ask me if you can ask Alvin, and
Okay,
it sounds like you just did. So
well, yeah, I'm not, the protocols. So you brought up the new provision of the state change with 75 feet. And you'd also asked a question about square footage of the area. So both lots, one is 17,500 square feet. The other one is 18,500 square feet. This second lot that we're discussing, we do not want to develop. We want to take, of the 62 feet that the lot exists, transfer 20 feet to the other lot to make it be 85 feet wide, which is over the 75, and use the remainder 40 feet of the unused or potentially merged lot as a access driveway to a retreat lot to land that is out back. I say all of this because I know that we're here specifically for the zoning enforcement officer's determination of it being a not buildable lot, but ultimately we have all the documents and surveying done for a plot plan for a fully conforming retreat lot and to make this other lot more conforming to be 85 feet wide. And it would end up already meets all the setbacks for sides, front and back. So bearing that in mind, knowing that this is kind of like a finalized decision that inevitably locks us up, so to speak, with the properties, does that have a bearing on your opinion on the case matter with respect to it, that we do not want this to be a buildable lot? We agree that it is not a buildable lot, and ultimately we want to transfer land from this to make the other lot more conforming and to create a 100% fully conforming to today's current zoning bylaws retreat lot on the other lot, plus the partial out back, which we have a handshake deal with the property. We just haven't executed a purchase and sale yet. It's basically pending this hearing.
I'm not sure what the question is. Have we seen a proposed division of the lot?
So we
that will
weren't able to
result in-
submit that.
What?
We weren't able to submit that because we had to get through the zoning board of appeal before we could submit a Form A, I believe it's called, or an A&D.
An A&R plan?
Yes, correct. We have the completed. We
And-
already
and
had
you
it.
have an A&R plan that shows that you would have 2 conforming lots?
We would have 85 feet of frontage, which is over the 75 minimums for the state. And yes, 40 feet of frontage within 300 feet center mark of the driveway for the fire hydrant, fully conforming to 65,000, I think it is, square feet for the retreat lot, with proper setbacks for the rear structure on the retreat lot.
I mean, I guess I just need to see it. I mean, there's the minimum frontage required for lots in a residence district is 110 feet.
Correct, but you had brought up the state changing the new one to 75 feet. And that's why I was saying we're going to give land.
You can have, under the new change to the law, there's an exception to merger where each lot has, in common ownership, has a minimum of 75 feet of frontage and 10,000 square feet of lot area. And then you have the ability to build a 3-bedroom home.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is that this lot that has the current house on it would have 85 feet of frontage, which is 10 more feet, and would have approximately 21,000 square feet of land space, which is more than double the 10,000. And then the second lot.
Could I ask a question? I don't mean
Of
to
course.
interrupt you, but
No, go
you
ahead.
have 62 feet of frontage or thereabouts in the 2 adjoining lots?
No, each individual lot has one has 62 and one has 65. I can give you the exact number if you want it. I do have it on my phone, but they're, give or take, cumulatively speaking, nearly 130 feet.
Okay, so that's kind of the issue. You're going to potentially take a lot that conforms to frontage, and you want to divide it in a manner that results in the lot with the house on it having less than the minimum lot width, and that would require a variance.
And I don't argue that whatsoever, but that's why we were trying to go through the A&D process and not through a zoning board of appeal, because this wasn't our choice to go this road. This is the road that we had to walk. So this is where we are walking. And in our due diligence.
Look at that. I mean, we're having an intellectual discussion. I'm not no one here is angry with you. And
no, and I don't think they
Tom
are.
Patch is a great lawyer, and no one's upset with him. We're just having an intellectual discussion to try to figure out where you go and how you might be able to get there. And
I'm not sure if it's relevant, but as well, this second lot that we're discussing has its own individual sewer line that was run to it and has always been taxed as a
let me just
buildable
speak to you
lot.
about A&R plans, okay? In Rockland, you could submit an A&R plan to the planning board as long as the lots that you show meet the minimum frontage requirements and area requirements in the particular zoning district. Okay? And I think that's where you have a potential problem, because when you take off some of your frontage and give it to the proposed retreat lot, the lot you're going to be left with the house on it will not meet the minimum frontage requirements. And I think that's where you get into a dimensional issue that would result in the planning board hypothetically denying the A&R plan on the grounds, you might meet their area requirement, but you won't meet the minimum frontage requirement.
Well, the other way that we could make the frontage requirement, though, would be to actually take the existing 189 Greenwood Street structure that's pre-existing if we, instead of doing a retreat lot, we did a roadway and flipped the address around to that new street to get to the retreat lot. If we put
Well,
the address,
that's a subdivision process though.
correct.
And I didn't, take into any account a subdivision process. And if you can locate a subdivision roadway and get access and create frontage, you may have solved your issue. But that's not the case yet. Okay.
No, and again, attorney, this is kind of, I hate to say it, but it's like this is like our sounding board right now, because ultimately I wanted to have a meeting prior to a determination to say, town of Rockland, this is what my thoughts are. This is what I have in negotiation for additional land. Plan A would be just to create a retreat lot. Plan B would be to do a subdivision roadway to a secondary lot out back. Plan C, Plan D, like what would you like to see as the town? What benefits you the most?
The problem for us is it's not appropriate for us to tell you what's best for you. We can tell you the rules that would apply to whatever proposal you have. So that's kind of how I've counseled our land use boards, whether it's the planning board or the zoning board. We don't design things for you. I mean, if you want to submit a subdivision plan to the planning board, I don't want to dissuade you in any way, shape, or form. You could ask for some waivers that might make it, less expensive to put in a subdivision roadway, and maybe they'd look favorable on it. But if you can then solve the frontage and area problem by creating a new roadway, I mean, you're making the zoning board very happy because they don't have to give a variance or overturn Mr. Rubel's decision. You're making the planning board happy because the planning board, has lots that are buildable and approvable, and that might be the better way for you to go.
That's exactly what I wanted, to be honest with you. Is my menu option of presenting to the town, so to speak, was all of the options that I was
going to remember. I mean, if you submit a plan that complies with our subdivision rules and regulations, and the lots that are shown on that plan meet the frontage and area requirements, we're not in a position to deny that.
Okay. Now, so then let me ask you just one more question as town council. How does a decision through tonight's meeting affect that process? My understanding is that if this,
I'll try to answer that. I think I know exactly what you're saying. In my view, if the board upholds the decision of the building commissioner, it has no bearing on a separate proposal that you might make to the planning board to propose a 1 lot or 2 lot subdivision or 3 lot. I don't know how many lots you get. I don't know how big that land area is in the back, but the lot area requirements are fairly uniform in that area, and maybe there's enough room for more than 2 lots, but you usually exclude the area of the roadway from a proposed subdivision plan, and outside of the layout of the roadway, you're in pretty good shape. I mean, our minimum lot square footage is 32,670, and if you can get a couple of lots there by doing it as a 2 lot subdivision, we're happy with that. I mean, I would assume that we'd be happy with it because you're entitled to build on a lot that complies with requirements, and all you really have to do is satisfy the planning board that you've built a roadway that meets their standards or meets sufficient standards that they give you a waiver to comply with all of their requirements. Waivers from the planning board rules and regulations are significantly more attainable than a zoning variance.
and I 100% agree with you, which is, again, I know I'm, repeating myself, but this is 100% not the road I wanted to travel. I've made that abundantly clear through this process that this was not my idea of a good time in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Well, you've been, very well represented by Attorney Patch, and I've known Tom Patch for a long time, and, he's a tremendous, advocate. And the fact that he and I might have a disagreement won't be the first, won't be the last, but, he's done a really good job advocating for you. I think we just have a disagreement on it. But I do think that there is an avenue that you can explore with your engineer or whoever you work with that gives you the hypothetical ability to have two conforming lots.
Yeah, again, I'm I hate to say it, but 99% of that is done. I just told them to pause on printing the A&R just so that we could get through this process. So, but yeah, and again, my only reason for giving the menu option to the town was the menu options were the things that I wanted to do and that I was willing to assist. Or like, I'll do any of these options. I want to do all of these options. Which one suits the town best with respect to water capacity, sewer capacity, etc. I mean, I've already been in contact with grid with respect to power and pole installations, etc., underground services, blah, 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 blah. We did the research through the sewer department to determine there was already a sewer line on this vacant lot that's already factored into the town's counts and such. So we've done a lot of due diligence in preparation, none for building a house on that specific parcel of land, but all for doing something further out back. Which again, I have no problem with flipping addresses. We changed one on Union Street to be Bigelow earlier this year. This is my fifth house in town, so I'm to say I'm familiar with this is probably an understatement.
Okay. Well, the street regulations are on page 26 of the subdivision rules and regulations.
Okay.
But there is the ability to seek a waiver from some of them, and I can't speak for the planning board. They make their own decisions on that, but perhaps they would give you some relief. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, I just want to help build Rockland better and add to the tax revenue and build beautiful, safe, compliable homes. If anybody wants a chance to tour what we build, you have about 24 days before the Greenwood Street house is occupied by its new tenants. We've officially rented it out as on a 18-month lease.
All right,
Yeah, I
sounds
mean-
like we got a good pause here. So, at this point, I just have one question for Attorney Galvin.
Yeah.
In making a decision, with the board having to make a decision on whether we overturn or uphold the decision of the zoning enforcement officer, can we take into consideration the potential future plans that the applicant has?
No.
Or no?
No, I mean, I think if they want to come in from for a subdivision, there's nothing that you would decide
Mhm.
that would impact their ability to do that. If they show a plan with a roadway and each lot has frontage and area and they show how the utilities connect and we've got sewer and water, capacity for them, then they've got something they can do. So,
Yeah, that has nothing to do with us. That's planning board and we're out the door.
yeah.
Okay.
I got a question.
Who's got a, hold on. I just saw hands and I heard voices. I don't know who came first.
Steve spoke before I raised my hand.
All right, well, Mr. Baker Senior, Mr. Baker Junior, you lose. Steve, what do you got to say, sir?
Okay, I got a question for Attorney Galvin. Very simple question, and I'm sure because it hasn't been said otherwise. Is it generally acceptable and appropriate for the building department zoning enforcement officer to make that decision that he did that says like that where he said it's not buildable and it's merged, you have to appeal this, like even though there wasn't a plan to act on it, like the applicant wasn't they weren't officially submitting plans or anything like that. Is that, I mean, so
I
as
think I
far as
can
that,
answer that question. Okay. Sometimes people come in with a plan and they say, can I build on this? And then the building inspector denies. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's also someone comes in with an idea and explains what that idea is, and they ask for a zoning determination. And I
Yeah.
believe that the building commissioner felt that this was in the nature of a request for a zoning determination. Could this be
Right.
done through the application of the bylaws?
Yeah.
And even though there wasn't a plan associated, it seemed to be sufficiently described to him to do this. He called me up after
Yeah.
this inquiry was made and he articulated to me what he was saying.
Yeah.
He wrote a very simple letter that, in my opinion, I think Attorney Patch would be right to say didn't give him enough information as to the basis for his decision. So after speaking with Attorney Patch, I spoke to the building commissioner and I emailed Attorney Patch, some additional detail. And my understanding is that even since then, the building commissioner has articulated with a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
But this really kind of falls on the merger issue. And
Oh, okay.
I mean, our opinion is how your board interprets our bylaw. Attorney Patch would always have the option to appeal it and ask either a land court judge or a superior court judge or even a housing court judge whether, his theory is correct. And he'll have that right if he wants to do that. Or
Yeah.
the applicant can choose to file a subdivision plan. And if they can locate a roadway
Yeah.
that meets the minimum requirements for like a small street here. I mean, it's only going to serve 2-3 houses, maybe at the maximum. Those streets usually aren't built to the same dimensional standards that a roadway that would serve 10 houses are going to be built on. And it might look more like a driveway than it does a street, but it would technically be a street.
All right.
Sounds to me a way to solve the frontage issue.
Okay, good. So basically, I just want to clarify. It doesn't have to be a real formal endeavor.
No.
It could be an informal inquiry
You
that
can
the
ask the
zoning
building
enforcement
commissioner
officer
or
can make this kind of decision. So where it wasn't a fully formed plan, he could say, "Oh, by the way, here's a decision, and if you don't like it, you need to appeal," as he did. So I just want to make sure that the mechanism is perfectly appropriate.
Yes, it is. It's
Thank you.
in the nature of a zoning determination.
Okay, thank you. That was an open question for me. I never heard it fully articulated. It was an open question. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Baker Jr., talk to me, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I'd like to direct a question to Mr. Galvin.
Absolutely.
Bob, where it appears that the applicant may have at least one alternative means of relief.
Yeah.
To get him where he wants to get.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate procedurally, should he wish to do so, to withdraw his appeal?
I think that's really up to the applicant to decide.
Oh, no, that's
that's
what I'm asking you. Well, if he decides to do it,
he can withdraw.
procedurally,
If he
can
withdraw,
he do it?
the effect of his withdrawal or the appeal is that Tom's decision as to this concept that he was given is final, and there's no further appeal. If the board makes a decision, there are further appellate rights that Mr. Patch and his client would have, and they could exercise that right if they chose. But it sounds to me like they have a solution here that might solve everybody's problems.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, Mr. Baker, we good?
We are, or I am.
Yes, sir. Does
Honestly,
anybody
good for
else have
everything.
any, Mr. Baker Senior, Mr. Tansey, do you
All
have any?
set.
Okay.
I think there were some neighbors there, though, Rob.
Yep, no, I did. I saw that. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak in favor of the of this application? Is there anybody that wants to speak opposed? Hearing none, I'm going to go to Attorney Patch. He's raising his hand very frantically here, so.
No, again, I appreciate Attorney Galvin's comments. Fundamentally, I guess we're in a disagreement, and I would point him to the Marinelli versus Board of Appeals of Stoughton case, 65 Mass Appellate Court 902 in 2005, and I did cite that it's in a footnote in the memo. It's footnote 9. I don't have my glasses on, but I just squinted. But
Bob, do you know this case?
But again, it's basic.
My head.
Yeah.
What year was that case, Tom?
It's Marinelli, Marinelli, the Board of Appeals of Stoughton, 65 Mass Appellate Court, 902 2005. And, you know, that seems to be the case that gets cited. And, you know, I've read some land court, trial court decisions that use the term, you know, and again, Attorney Galvin, that's the reason why I said it's not automatic. That I don't have the site for the land. It's just a trial court case, but the trial judge in the decision admitted that the merger doctrine isn't automatic because you have to, before the merger occurs, you have to look at the statute, you have to look at 40A, see if there's anything in the statute that precludes merger, because it says, you know, and let me just read you what I'm looking at a case that talks about, it's Carabata, Carabetta versus Board of Appeals of Truro. And that was a 73 Mass Appellate Court 266. It was a 2008 decision. And basically, this is the way they sort of phrased it. And it seems to get various iterations of how it's phrased. But it says the general rule has been the general rule of merger. Okay, let me just actually read this because I think it'll be helpful to the board. It says, we first addressed the judge's ruling that the lots did not merge. It is well settled that, quote, adjacent lots in common ownership will normally be treated as a single lot for zoning purposes so as to minimize nonconformities, and cites a couple of cases. This general rule has been applied both prior to and after the enactment of our current zoning enabling act, and that was the 1975. The statutory grandfather provision contained in General Laws 48, Section 6 incorporates this doctrine by providing protection from increases in lot area and frontage requirements only to non-conforming lots that are not held in common ownership with any adjoining land. And this is the important part. While a town may choose to adopt a more liberal grandfathering provision, it must do so with clear language. See Marinelli versus Board of Appeals of Stoughton, 65 Mass Appellate Court 902. So this is you know, this is where it's coming down to. This is where Attorney Galvin and I have a disagreement. I think if you start with, you know, you put together the portions of the zoning bylaw from the beginning. So from the beginning, this vacant lot had protection under the prior recorded lot provision. From the inception of the zoning bylaw, it was from the beginning, it was not, these two properties were not merged. And then because of that provision, and had a separate identity as a separate lot from the lot that the house was on for zoning purposes. And then in 1975, and while this provision was still in existence, 1975, then you get this 26B provision comes in. And 26B, basically, so if it was a lot in 1975 as a result of the prior recorded lot provision, it's therefore a lot under 26B. 26B continues to exist to this day. And so there you have it. And so
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
My understanding is these lots merged or were held in common ownership well prior to the adoption of zoning.
Correct. But as you know, Bob, just like the 10,000 square feet, 75 feet of frontage provision, there's nothing to stop a local bylaw from essentially, let's assume that these lots merged, right? Because see, the thing is, these lots would not have merged because there was no zoning in place prior to this prior. That's what I'm trying to say is that when zoning came in for the first time, the merger only occurs when there's zoning. When zoning came in for the first time, in that initial zoning bylaw, there was this prior recorded lot provision, which protected this vacant lot from being merged. It continued to give it its separate legal identity use under the zoning bylaw. And so there was never any merger at that point. And like I said, in 1975, when this prior recorded lot provision is still in existence, so this lot still had its separate identity as a lot, then you end up getting this 26B provision, which addresses those types of lots and says, as long as you don't further reduce the width or the area, And frontage is part of width. I would hope you would agree with that, Bob. But
Frontage with
as
we
long
apply
as you,
the same width requirements.
yeah, but it's just and as a result of that, in 1975, when the 26B provision says a lot such as this, which does not comply as a non-conforming lot, the vacant lot, may continue so long as you don't further reduce the area or width. So, and as I've said, what the point I'm trying to make is the whole point of merger is that a lot may not continue as a separate identity lot under zoning. It merges. That's what merger doctrine does. This bylaw says it may continue. It does the exact opposite of what merger does. So it continues. You have to give common sense meaning to the phrase may continue. May continue as what? As a lot. So if that's the case, there you go. It still has its separate identity. And I would agree with Attorney Galvin. There's a lot of things that we're talking about that aren't necessarily wholly relevant to the board's decision interpretation. But it's not our intent to build on this vacant lot. It was always, we just wanted to prevent it from merging so that so if it hasn't merged, then this lot can be conveyed and dealt with separately from the lot that the house is on. If it's merged, you can't do that. It would be a violation of zoning if you tried to deed out each lot separately. So what we're saying is these two lots have not merged. They haven't merged because of the provisions of the Town of Rockland zoning bylaw, which trumps the application of the general rule application of the merger doctrine. So, I apologize, but it's kind of I think Bob would agree. This is a sort of an esoteric area of the law, but that's what it basically boils down to.
Yeah, I think that the flaw is that adjacent lots under common ownership, it wouldn't be treated, are not treated as a single lot if at the time of the recording and the endorsement, the lots conform the existing requirements of where such lot is not less than 10,000 square feet and 75 feet of frontage. I do think that this is I know exactly what you're saying, Tom. You're saying that because these lots were created and they were created as undersized lots, the ownership is irrelevant and each lot retains its significance, and that provision is intended to ensure the preservation of the buildability of the lots or conformity with zoning or the non-conformity of two lots with zoning. And I just think that we have a difference of opinion on this.
Chairman,
Mr. Baker Jr.,
if I could pose another question to Attorney Galvin, please.
please do.
Bob, if this board were to vote to uphold Mr. Rubel's ruling,
Yeah.
would that then prevent the applicant from applying for a subdivision to the planning board?
No, it would not.
Okay. And would
I
it,
mean, and you could, uphold it, the decision, and without prejudice to his right to reapply, for further zoning determination. So he's not precluded.
and I know this is kind of pushing the question, but given your first answer, would it, in your view, materially, if we were to uphold the decision of the building inspector, would that materially affect the chances of success in front of the planning board?
For a subdivision?
Yes.
No, no. I mean, if the planning board were to inquire of me, I would tell them, look, if he can provide a right of way that has the minimum requirements and design a roadway that fits within that layout requirement, probably be able to do it now more narrow paved width than you would ordinarily be required to do. If it was only serving one lot, it wouldn't affect them at all because they'd have two conforming lots.
Thank you.
I've got
By the way,
one
when you
question.
go and you take two conforming lots now, and I'm sure that Mr. Fell and Attorney Patch know this now. We liberally allow ADUs. Um, you know, and there's lots of things you can do now. You know, and when you have conforming lots, many times you don't even have to come to the zoning board of appeals.
I have one question for Attorney Patch. I'm looking at your Exhibit A to Town of Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals, page 2, and you've mentioned this several times. 1958 zoning bylaw, section 5, general regulations and provisions B, prior recorded lots. You got this from the from the 1958 town report. I'm
Correct.
looking at this, I'm looking at prior recorded lots, any lot or parcel of land having an area or width of lesser amounts than required by this bylaw and which was shown on a plan or described in a deed duly recorded or registered prior to the first notice of hearing before the planning board, blah, blah, may be used for any permitted use in the district in which the lot is located, provided that such lot did not adjoin other vacant land of the same owner on the date of said first notice of hearing for
Right.
each foot. And then from there, it turns into our 110 rule. For each foot that such lot is less than 90, because apparently 90 feet was the minimum frontage. 1 foot may be reduced from the sum of the. Where is that now? I mean, did that get deleted from our zoning bylaw?
That is from what I can see, it was deleted, I believe, in the late 90s.
Okay. Attorney Galvin, I wouldn't, how does that pertain to what we're dealing with right now?
The answer is I don't know, because I first of all, I'm sitting in my car, so I don't have everything
I get it. No, I dig it.
that I need to look at it. The answer is I don't know off the top of my head.
All right.
Rob,
So
I was mad to say, again, we would have no problem if Attorney Galvin, because I appreciate, his circumstance. He's in an awkward circumstance to be dealing with this. I think everybody would be well served, perhaps, if, I was able to point some of this information, perhaps even have a discussion with Attorney Galvin, because essentially what you're getting is you're getting the two attorneys, and so, we would have no problem agreeing to a written continuance of this at the hearing, so that it would give Attorney Galvin and myself perhaps an opportunity to talk about some of these things, and just so that he's not in the position, like he's saying now, that he can't really speak to that issue, so it will because I think it's very important, because this is the predicate of why we say the lots never merged in the first place.
Attorney Galvin, how do you feel about that?
It's really up to the board to decide.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, Mr. Baker Senior.
could we ask the applicant attorneys, his client, if he wants to keep pursuing this further and further?
Mr. Fell, you here? You got your ears on?
Yes, sir.
You want to go for another continuance and have the two attorneys talk? It's up to you.
If I'm misunderstanding Mr. Galvin, please, Mr. Galvin, interrupt me. It sounded, my impression of what he just said was that he basically, like, he's kicking the ball back to you guys for you guys to make a decision. I have no problem if you guys want to continue this further so that you guys can do your own independent research in the front corner of the building where I spent several days, I feel like. The 1958 book is readily available. It's the very first folder. It's a cute little book. It's very short and easy, soft to read. I even understood it. And Mr. Pouch is correct. I believe it was it did not appear in 1999's books, so we believe it was eliminated in 98, the prior recorded lot, which again, beating a drum horse, 23 years after this 26B came into effect. I personally, I don't know how you can say that 26B is irrelevant without having to take an answer why the prior recorded lot isn't relevant. But if the board
Well, I can
wants
tell
more,
you right, I can tell you right now, when they delete that, then it defaults to 48 section 6.
yeah, but then how does 26B not exist? Because for 23 years, both laws were concurrently running side by side, offering two separate levels of protection. I mean, we had a T-shirt on with the general
There are
protection
still
laws, and then we
people
got a.
that there are still people that are around who, including prior zoning board of appeals members, that might know that answer.
So we did try to do some of that due diligence, but we were unsuccessful in that, in
Yeah.
locating anybody from the board or
Well,
from any records
Robert
from those.
Manzella was probably on the board in the 90s and might know. He's still around.
So I personally, my opinion is if the board and the attorneys would like to have some sort of discussion and bump this again, I'm not going to tell you no. I would love to have this done and over with and not have to do a subdivision roadway and just do the retreat lot. And again, I am not asking for this to be a buildable lot, just a separate and conveyable, unbuildable, unmerged parcel of land. Not buildable. Very specific. Do not want to build on this parcel of land. So, but if the board and the attorneys would like more time, I will 100% abide and give everybody what anybody wants.
I'm gonna talk to my board members.
100%.
What do you think? Do you feel comfortable making a decision tonight, or do you want the attorneys to talk to see if Attorney Patch can change Attorney Galvin's mind? That's what it comes down to.
Oh,
That's what it comes down to.
if we table this to another meeting, are we just going to get new information, or are we gonna hear this whole thing over again?
Well, I don't believe that we have to hear this whole thing. It really comes
Me
down
either.
to no, I don't, and I don't want to. It really comes down to what what Bob says. All right. As of right now, Bob says that the lots have merged. Done. But now there's more information that Attorney Galvin might be able to, might be willing to listen to that might change his opinion.
So it was,
Yeah.
Rob, so basically what would happen is, if the board were gracious enough to continue this, then basically, what would happen is we'd be back, but basically back as to whether or not, Attorney Galvin, or my position has changed at all. Okay. And
Right.
if it
That's
comes
what I just
back, our
said.
positions haven't changed, then we're not rehashing anything. And if
Right,
our positions have
that's
changed,
literally what
then
I
we would
just said. That's
articulate it.
Attorney Patch. That's
Yeah.
literally what I just said.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this quick here because
Well,
it's
can I just weigh in on this? If Mr.
please.
Fell is going to submit a subdivision plan, and that clearly is something that I think is permissible.
No, he's not talking about a subdivision. He thinks he thinks he might be able to change your mind based on this document that he provided to us that talks about 1958 zoning bylaw.
All right.
He's
Well,
saying that you
all
don't
I was
have you
saying is
haven't
if Mr. Fell is going to submit a subdivision plan and create 2 conforming lots or 3 conforming lots, I don't know how much land area is back behind here. I mean, I don't know,
we're not talking a zoning. We're not talking a subdivision.
I
We're talking
understand
about-
that,
we're-
but if that's what it sounded to me like, and maybe I misunderstood it, that he was almost done with such a plan, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe
So
I
that's
misunderstood.
plan like,
Can I make a comment?
that's plan C or D or E. My initial plan was a house on that primary lot, which I've totally walked away from and made a deal for the land out back. My plan B, which is currently where we're sitting, is the retreat lot. But in order to get to that point of the conversation, we have to get through this point of the conversation of this specific lot being separate and conveyable and separately identifiable, not buildable, just a plot of land that is individually owned, free and clear of the other lot.
And what we're being told is that we can't take into consideration any future plans. Because the question
Correct.
is this its own individual, is it its own individual lot? Does it have its own individual lot status or not? So,
Again, just to reiterate, but not as a buildable lot. If you make a decision that this is a separate conveyable, I emphasize the importance of the board to spell it out like, while we can assume that this is its own separate lot, it is not buildable and will not be approved for building, as it does not conform to a buildable lot. I'm not looking for a buildable lot.
no, we understand. It's just,
Okay.
we're looking for individual lot status.
Yes.
So the question is, board members, do you think Attorney Patch can change Attorney Galvin's mind? That's what it comes down to. Attorney Galvin said that
I'm not
these
really
lots
sure
have
that's
merged.
the question.
I,
The
That
question
is
is,
the
do you want to
question.
give
That's
us more
absolutely.
time to
Board
talk?
members, does
May I
anybody
speak?
disagree with me? Hold on. Board members, does anybody disagree with me? That's the question right now. The question is this its own individual lot? Attorney Galvin says no, the two have merged. Attorney Patch says the two individual lots. Right now, Attorney Patch is saying that based on this 1958 zoning bylaw and the document that he put together, there's some information in there that Attorney Galvin doesn't have, that it might change his mind. It might change his mind. That's what we're coming down to. Do we close this hearing tonight and make a decision on everything that we've got now, knowing that we can't talk about future anything? Or if the applicant is so inclined, which he's already said, he would request another continuance to have both Attorney Patch and Attorney Galvin discuss things. Because quite honestly, if Attorney Galvin says that these two lots are individual lots, who on the board is gonna disagree? All right. What if Attorney Galvin says that they're one lot? I don't know. I mean, it really comes down to our decision and our decision only. So it's up to, if the board thinks that the two attorneys should sit down and talk to each other, and the applicant is more than willing, and if the applicant is willing to request another continuance, then maybe we make that happen. But board members, if you believe you have enough information to be able to make that decision tonight, then I'll entertain a motion to close the open portion of the public hearing.
So moved.
Oh, that
Second.
was quick.
Kevin,
I got a second. That was immediately quick.
I think
just
we're
have
on talk.
one
Hold on.
question.
Before we go, Mr. Tanzi, it sounds like he's got something to say.
I just have one question.
Yep.
If these two lots did not merger, would the existing structure still meet the setback requirements, or would it require a variance?
It fully conforms. We've received our,
It doesn't matter. Honestly, that doesn't matter. And the whole point on the merger was that the reason why it merges is because the current lot doesn't meet zoning. The current side setback doesn't meet zoning. The fact that the driveway is over the property line doesn't meet zoning. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why these lots have merged. If
I
you
just heard a lot of verbiage about, the lot's configuration.
Mhm.
I didn't hear really anything in either statute that talked about an existing structure, whether or not it had to meet the current setbacks, whether that would be grandfathered as well. Yeah.
You're talking grandfather status.
Yeah.
The talk of grandfathered status hasn't even come up. We haven't talked about grandfathered status. It still
Rob,
comes
but
down to-
that's the whole point of the
I understand,
anti-merger.
but nobody has actually said the word grandfather.
Well, because you're not supposed to.
I understand this. That's why this is the first time anybody's saying
No,
it.
I'm saying
glad you
it's
didn't- I'm
politically
glad you didn't.
incorrect.
I
No,
thought the
I-
word was pre-existing non-conforming.
It's
It is.
exactly.
Well, but it's more than that. You can have something that's pre-existing non-conforming, but the question becomes it's whether or not it's lawfully pre-existing non-conforming. So basically that you have, and then you have rights that are attached to that. So,
Mr.
and just so you know, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts says just for the board's, benefit, has indicated that the word grandfathering should not be used because it supposedly came out of, what happened after the Civil War. People of color were basically allowed to vote based on whether or not they were effectively grandfathered.
Whether their
into-
grandfathers could vote, right? Can we go
Right, but
beyond
it-
that
it's-
word and just get
Yeah,
the other word that
let's
equals it?
just
If
drop.
we're gonna
let's
keep
just
talking
drop-
about it,
Let's just
Right.
drop that, and I don't want to go any further. So it still comes down to board members. I've got a motion and I've got a second on the table. I'm gonna open it back up. I'm gonna say, board members, you got any other questions?
no.
I got a motion and a second. I'm going. Roll call. Myself, yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes,
Mr. Tanzi.
I'm not voting on this, right?
Well,
Or-
then I don't want to hear from you. Mr. Baker
Yeah.
Junior.
No,
Oh, okay, that's a no. And Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Okay. Has to be a 4-0 on this, as far as I know, Attorney Galvin. We've only got 4 members voting on this.
4-0.
Okay,
Correct.
has to be a 4-0. We got a
To
3-0.
continue a matter, it doesn't require it.
Exactly. So right now, Mr. Baker Jr., would you like to, so going back to the original motion does not pass. Mr. Baker Jr., would you like to formulate a secondary motion?
before I do that, is Allison still with us?
She
I
is.
am.
Hey, what's the next available date we have, Allison?
I believe it's January 6th. Let me double check that.
And while she's double checking that, I think I know where he's going. Mr. Fell,
Yes, sir.
you okay with the continuance?
That's fine. How come the board member is not voting? Is there a reason?
Yeah, Greg
Okay.
Tanzi wasn't here when the meeting was opened, so he can't vote.
2 weeks ago or
just the fact-
today?
Huh?
2 weeks ago meeting or today?
Yeah, your previous meeting.
He
I
wasn't able
thought
to
we
certify
determined that he could
compliance with
sign
the
like an
Mullen rule.
affidavit because he made it in. He just wasn't in for like the
Yeah, but he
roll
didn't
call.
he didn't fill out the affidavit.
Oh, is that something we can circle back to get him to sign the affidavit?
Ah,
I mean, we only have a 5-person board and we have to have 4 people.
yeah, you have to have
And by
4.
taking one person of 5 out, we now need 100% of the board.
Okay, so let's go one more. Attorney Galvin. If Greg fills out the Mullins, watches the meetings, can he then vote
Yes,
on? Yes? Okay.
he can.
So Greg,
He has to
if-
certify that he's read the materials, watched the video, and then he can participate because he didn't miss tonight's meeting.
okay. Greg, we talked about this the last time. Are you gonna be able to do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
if Allison can,
Allison, can you coordinate with him?
Sure, I'll reach out to you tomorrow. I believe it's just something you pick up in the clerk's office. I'll have it pre-filled out for you.
Perfect. Attorney Fell, excuse me, Attorney Fell. Mr. Fell,
Yes, sir.
you good with the continuance?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Baker Jr., I'm coming to you.
January
Can't
I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
The next available, I'm sorry, Bob Baker Jr., the next available date will be January 6th.
Right, and what available times do we have?
That one will be for 7:40.
Then I would make a motion that this matter be continued until January 6th, 2026 at 7:40 PM.
I'm gonna second that. So based on that, roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
yes,
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes,
Mr. Galley.
Yes.
but
I
new,
understand that.
new
I
information
understand the
only.
hesitation, Steve. I understand.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Mr. Baker, were you gonna say something that it's not gonna affect
but
anything?
for new information only. So we don't have to hash this whole thing over again.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have.
Agreed.
So
Which
that's
is a
fine.
criteria the chairman has enforced for time immemorial.
All right, so I'm assuming that Attorney Galvin, you have Attorney Patch's contact info?
Yeah, yes, I do.
All right, between the two of you guys,
We'll speak
Work this
between
out.
now and then.
thank you.
Thank
right,
you very
what-
much.
Board
Yeah.
members, I'm like doing the pee-pee dance here. Do we mind?
Take a break. Yes,
Thank
please. Thank
you.
you.
I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. I'll watch the findings of 800 Market. Have a great night.
Good.
Thanks,
Allison.
Allison.
Thank you.
Take
you.
care,
Allison,
guys.
Allison,
Yes,
can you email me the Mullins, documents?
sure. I'll grab them from the clerk and get them to you.
Okay, great.
No
Thank-
problem. Of course.
That,
We're all back.
And I am unmuted. All right, gentlemen. Let's converse. So the only thing we really gonna talk about is the dog kennel. Who thinks what?
Well, I'll start just by saying what I was saying earlier by
Yep.
my impression of the dog officer's letter, that he was relatively comfortable with the prospect.
Mhm.
So I'll just start by saying that, and that's what I got to say for now.
Just trying to think what I can do to. All right, everybody saw the site plan.
Mhm.
I just want to pull up. I may glitch for a second here because again I'm using internet. I want to pull up the kennel bylaws just so I have it in front of me. You need to do zoning. Where the heck are the kennel bylaws? Kennels other than personal kennels. Wham. All right, 415.38.3. Kennels other than personal kennels. Oh, excuse me. D, conditions. The applicant shall meet all the requirements in applying for a special permit, plus the following. Site plan drawn within 3 months of applying for the special permit stamped by a registered land surveyor that is licensed to work on that. The site plan shall include all existing conditions, proposed conditions, property meets and bounds, distances to the nearest structures, buffer areas, and areas that will be used for runs and or pens, fences, stored, but she meets the site plan. All right, so that's not an issue. Number 2, areas used for outside activities, pens, shall be fenced in with a solid wood or vinyl fence with a minimum height of 6 feet and shall have a minimum of a 15-foot setback from the side or rear property lines. There shall be no outside runs or pens within the front yard. So she showed a 32 by 32 foot area, fenced in with a roof that is being proposed for inclement times. I don't necessarily know if that's considered a pen or not.
Well, I think she was planning on using it regularly with the addition of the roof so she could use it in inclement times. I think
in inclement, so like one
But I
group
think-
family.
But I think the plan is that the dogs are going to be out there every day.
All right. So the question is she going to keep them in there or is she going to let them run free through the yard? Because I think that there's I think that's what was going on before. All
Right,
right.
and I
She,
think
she doesn't have it.
And I think she explained that that's why she was, when she takes them from the house to the enclosure and back
Mhm.
again, they would be leashed.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
I recall that, yeah.
So here's my problem. You know, the dogs like to run around and stuff. I mean, I understand that these are doggy daycare and this, that, the other thing. I understand that. But to be able to have to flip, and again, I'm looking at worst case scenarios. Worst case. She wants 10 dogs. 32 by 32, it's not small. But I wouldn't want to throw 10 dogs in a 32 by 32 area and just say, here, dogs, stay in there all day.
That's
No.
only 3 feet for each dog.
That's there you go. All right. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well,
But Ian said he was happy with the plan based on the last letter that we got from him.
Yeah.
Ian said that he was happy with the plan. Assuming that she had fences that worked, fences that were tall, fences that fenced in the entire not the entire property, but basically the entire area that the dogs were going to be in, which is the backyard. She's got wire fences, which I don't know if that constitutes. Who asked about the wire fences? Gregor, you asked about that, right?
yeah,
All right. So I don't know. When I think of wire fence, I think either a chicken wire fence or,
Garden fence.
yeah, like a garden fence or something like that. I don't think chain link.
Not commercially grade.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Right.
So
And I don't even think it would have to be that, but something that's going to keep a dog from easily getting through it.
oh yeah, and it's got to be tall enough. So it's got to be at least 6 feet.
Right.
I don't know of too many dogs that can jump over a 6-foot fence, but I mean that's the whole point that fences are 6 feet. You don't throw unless there's an invisible fence around, you're not fencing in a dog with a 4-foot post and rail.
No.
So that's one thing that I'm kind of like, That's one thing that I'm kind of concerned about. Areas used for outside activities shall be fenced in with a solid wood or vinyl fence with a minimum height of 6 feet and shall have a minimum of a 15-foot setback from the side and rear property lines. I'm going to say it again. Areas used for outside activities. Is that 32 by 32 area the area that's going to be used for outside activities?
I would say so.
See, this is where I'm a little bit concerned. The area between the property line and the fence shall be landscaped with evergreens, a minimum of 4 feet in height, blah, blah. She showed that on the plan. Right? She showed that on the plan. It is, and she was proposing it to be 16 feet off the property line. So that works too. She was talking about she wants runs. All right. Now I've got runs and pens, whether inside or outside, shall be provided and shall not be less than 36 inches wide for a dog weighing of like 45 or 48 inches wide for a dog weighing more than 45. The minimum length of runs shall be 10 feet. Why do I find that to be like ridiculous? When I think runs, you're not running in 10 feet. Am I misinterpreting? I'm not a dog guy, so I don't know.
Yeah, even for a little dog, that's incredibly short.
That makes absolutely no sense. Inside pens,
But that's a minimum.
and then it goes into inside pens shall be of the following sizes. Dogs weighing like that shall be weighing 25. So it's got dimensions on inside pens, which brings me to another point. She doesn't have indoor pens. These dogs are going to be free to roam, hopefully she said within an area or a room that she's going to cordon off just for the dogs. Nobody else is really going to have access to it, and the dogs aren't going to be able to get out of that room without being formally let out. So there are no pens. So
Would
I
she,
thought she had to have start collecting the
she said
kennels.
she was. Yep.
Yeah.
She said she was, like the crates and stuff.
Yeah.
That's for boarding. That's not for daycare.
Yeah.
So it's all gonna. I'm thinking it's all gonna end up being the same kind of room, the same kind of situation. So she's gonna have to have an area in the building that is set up for crates, and that's where the dogs are gonna kind of like hang out when they're in the house.
No,
I don't. No.
no. My understanding is that the dog, whatever space she designates, whether it's the living room and the dining room, however she described it,
Yep.
that's where the dogs are going to be hanging around.
Okay.
But they're not going to be crated in the house all the time. From my recollection and understanding, if they're being boarded overnight, then they go in the crate.
Right. No, I agree with I agree with that 100%. It's just a matter of in that area that the dogs are going to like conjugate in, inside the house, are there also going to be crates in that room at the same time?
There may be crates in there, but
Yeah.
typically in that scenario, the crates would be there with the doors open. If
Right.
the dogs wanted to go in, they could. If they don't want to go in, they just roam around in the rooms.
Exactly. And that was my understanding too. That was absolutely my understanding too.
And I have no experience with doggy daycare in Rockland, but the ones I've used, they have an open area. It's generally not a huge open area where the dogs would recreate outside. And then inside there are, for lack of a better term, rooms where the dogs do their indoor stuff. If it's too hot out or they just feel like coming back, but not in crates while they're in. But at least
right. No, that I understand. But come back to what you just said. When it comes to the dogs being outside, they're only they're in a relatively confined space, like a 32 by 32 foot area.
I wouldn't say that small, but certainly it's even if it's like a divided backyard kind of scenario, it's not the wide open spaces.
Okay. All right. It sounds to me, or at least it feels to me like the only time that I feel like she's going to just let them roam around in the backyard, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, especially if the door's open, that the dogs know that they can go in the pen area.
Now,
If it
again, my
starts raining or
recollection is when the issue with the fence came up, she had indicated that that wouldn't be an issue because the dogs weren't going to be roaming around in the yard to begin with.
This is where I'm getting confused. Yeah, I feel like I feel like if she's trying to run a business here, I understand. And I just don't understand why that pen area was so far away from the house itself. I mean, she could have literally put it off the back of the porch or back of off the back of the deck in the back of the house. And it would be that much easier to deal with getting the dogs in and out and this, that. It would seem to me that if you're going to be using a pen like that regularly to get the dogs in and out, you'd want to make it a little bit closer to the main structure where you're going to be.
What was the
hanging
height?
out. She didn't say.
Didn't say.
Yeah. It was what?
She didn't say.
The other thing, it's awful close to the swimming pool too. Where there's
mean,
a
maybe-
lot on the right-hand side that's more open area.
I mean, maybe they don't want to take away that area.
I mean,
I
it
agree.
might,
I understand that.
it might be aesthetic, it might be, in other places, it can be seen from the street or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It was her decision to put it there,
Yep.
so it is what it is. She wants to put it there.
Plus, you walk the dogs to the pen. It's a longer walk. I mean, it's
Yeah.
every foot counts with walking. They love walking.
No, I dig it. I dig
Yeah.
it. The area between the property line, evergreens. Okay, we know that. Runs in pens, inside or outside. The minimum length. We already talked about that. Shelter. Okay. Number 5 is shelter from inclement weather. All dogs shall be provided access to shelter, which will protect them against inclement weather, preserve the dog's body heat, and keep them dry. The shelter shall be kept clean and sanitary and in a sanitary condition. So that's the shelter that's 32 by 32. But
With the roof,
say again.
with the roof.
Yeah, with the roof. That's what she was talking, that's the shelter from inclement weather, but she was talking about square footage when it comes to each individual dog and stuff like that. I don't see that in here unless that's something that Ian has that I'm not privy to. Because I think there's other rules that Ian specifically has for these things that we're not privy to because it's not zoning. It's specifically for him. So I got shelter for inclement weather, got that. Must have a plan in place for disposal of animal waste, which she does. The applicant must meet and maintain compliance with all other federal, state, and local laws or regulations. She said that she wants to. There shall be no dogs outside between sunset and sunrise. The animal control officer shall at any time inspect or cause to be inspected any kennel, and if in their judgment the kennel is not being maintained in the sanitary unit, the kennel is being operated in such a manner as to constitute a nuisance, or if records are not properly kept as required by law, may by order temporarily revoke or suspend said kennel license. Refer the matter to the Board of Selectmen, blah, 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 blah. So if they're not doing it right, then things happen. So
I got a question.
please.
You know what restaurants have their grate on the front door window? Do kennels have a similar thing on their front door window that says they're authorized and approved? And I've never had to drop off a dog, so.
Well, what do you mean? I don't know.
Like if you go to a restaurant, they'll have a grade A, B, C, or D, or failed or whatever. You either know that the place is like, it's closed because it didn't pass inspection, or it's got a grade A because they're awesome. Like, I didn't know if a kennel had like a similar thing at the front of their business that actually says that they're approved. Like you go to a gas station, there's a sign by Tom Rosa, the weights and measures, that says the gas is going to be the amount of gas you pay for. A little thing that says the town has said this is a operation.
Okay, so
yeah,
so like a
permit.
visible permit or something like that.
Something of that effect. I'm just wondering.
I don't think there is.
You do need a
I was
license
curious.
to have it. You do need a license to have a kennel. So I'm assuming that would be displayed somewhere. On the
Yeah,
front.
It would have to be. Yeah, it would have to be. I would think that it has to be on the wall someplace, or at least it would have to be just like the Board of Health rules and what is it? The Board of Health stuff. If you walk into a restaurant, there's supposed to be a sign on there that says the latest Board of Health is can be requested, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's pretty much the same thing. If
Okay.
you've got a license, you need to display it someplace.
Okay.
So whether it has to be on the front door or not, that I don't know, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. So based
Oh,
on
wow.
everything that we've got in our zoning, all right, based on everything we got in our zoning, I don't see it too wrong. It just comes down to conditions. I don't see this being I don't see this being out of place. Again, it's going to come down to conditions. So let's,
And do we have interest in any conditions beyond what are in the kennel bylaws and the rules and regulations enforced by the animal control officer?
well, Ian's
I'd
concern.
like to put a condition on that. The animal control officer do a review in 6 months from the date of the all the permits are issued.
Mhm.
And just if there's no violations, give us a report. If there are violations, we bring it back in and we either, suspend or revoke her license.
Well, again, it's going to get another condition that I would put on is that the special permit is contingent on a final approval
Right.
by the animal control officer.
But I don't think we can make a condition that compels an agent of the town to do anything.
Right.
What we're doing is granting permission for this applicant.
Yeah.
The conditions go to the applicant, not to somebody.
And the animal control officer already has the power and responsibility to inspect unannounced anyway, and be able to revoke.
I'd still like to make it contingent on see, this is the difference. We can make a determination. We can grant a special permit contingent on, and again, contingent on approval by the animal control officer.
But that's not directing him to do anything.
No. I would never direct him to do anything because it's contingent. It's just like the special permit or the comprehensive permit is granted contingent on getting sewer and water connections, which is determined by another department. So I would be happy with that kind of contingency that Ian has the final say on everything. When it comes down to fences, he said right off in his letter that he was concerned about the current fence situation around the property. It's costs a lot of money to put up fences, but that doesn't mean she has to fence off the entire area.
Yeah, and given the way she described, as I said, the operation of out of the house on the leash into the enclosure, off the leash in the enclosure, and they're going back to the house, they go back into the leash. I mean, is it theoretically possible that a dog could, I don't want to say escape, but get loose in the yard? Yeah, it is, of course. Dogs like to do that. They like to torture us. But is the expense that would be incurred to prevent a dog from getting loose proportional to the concern? I don't think it is.
You're a dog owner, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to also think about the safety of people that are gonna be in the yard using the pool. Say the 16-year-old daughter wants to have a pool party with a bunch of her friends. And all of a sudden she comes out with 3 or 4 dogs on leashes to put them in the kennel. And
all the dogs get excited because there's a lot of people out there.
Right. And one gets loose and goes after the kids. The kids are yelling and screaming, having a good time and stuff. The dogs don't know that it's a party. So I
mean, isn't that a liability issue for the business owner?
Yes.
So could we condition?
All of this is a liability issue for the.
Right, but I mean,
all of it.
We often condition things that the applicant said they're going to do. They said, I'm gonna carry a flashlight. We're gonna condition you to carry a flashlight, that kind of thing. So they've already said they're gonna have them on a leash going from the house to the structure. Can we condition it that they have the dogs on the leash from the house to the outside structure? I mean, if the rest of it is between them and the insurance company and the hospitals.
You said that's what you was gonna do.
I didn't understand Mr. Bakerstein Jr.
Yes.
I said she said that's what she was gonna do, so I have no problem with that being a condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just saying we can condition it even though she said you were going to do it, because we've done that for other applicants.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, good. I think that covers our concern about the pool party. I mean, I believe, I agree with the concern about the risk with the, like, rambunctious children or rambunctious dogs, but I think that would cover them and it would be the safety that we're for.
If you look at the site plan,
Yeah.
the
They gotta go past the pool.
shed is close to the pool area too.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would love to see, and I think we can do this. I would love to see a minimum of, let's say, a 10-foot wide, maybe even a 15-foot wide fenced area from the house leading up to the shelter.
That's what I was thinking, something like that. So
And
that
that's
they,
it, and that's literally what they enter that. Maybe there's a gate on it or something like that, so you can get, from one side to the other or whatever. But
well, why not have it so that when they open the door, they're running into that area,
yeah, the dogs just run right in.
and then that would be the
The
10-foot
dog
run. You know what I mean?
That's the
Those
dog
minimum,
run.
that'll serve as the dog run as well.
Yep.
But, she can leash him if she wants to put him in the inclement shelter, that 32 by 32. She could shoe him in, or she could leash him and walk him to it, and whatever works for her. I mean, I suppose some dogs are more trained and cooperative than others, and some you could just tell them to go in there and they'll go in there. Some you have to drag in on a leash.
And the way she made it sound was, she made it sound like she only wants to deal with small dogs anyway.
Mostly, yeah.
That's what it sounded, and that's what I got from it.
She wants dogs that'll climb on your lap.
up to 80 pounds.
Steve, I used to have a dog who
Yes.
climbed in my lap and he weighed 140 pounds.
That's right.
There you
Big
go.
dogs think they're small dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, I might start glitching out again because I'm using internet.
But you're right. Still in general, she wants to have smaller dogs. She'll have some larger dogs, but she wants mostly smaller dogs.
So I think for thus far for conditions, we want a 6-month review by the animal control officer. We want a run that's confined from the house, with a 6-foot fence. I guess it could be chain link or whatever. That'll take the dog from the house. It'll give him a run area and access to the 32 by 32 sheltered area. And I think that would be plenty of room, and it would keep any people using the pool. There'd be plenty of room for her family to use the backyard. And I don't think that they would. Yeah, I think that would work.
Yes, I agree, Greg. It would give the dogs a better run.
And you're not fencing in the whole yard.
Right.
Fences cost money. I get it.
But better to fence from that area rather than the perimeter down the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's problematic with the whole perimeter because, there's too much interaction in the backyard, potential with pool parties and her children. She's got, young adult children, teenage children. She's got young children as well, with needs that I think that condition lends itself well for protection of everybody, her and the family and the residents, the community.
So do you have that, can you say that condition in a nice conditional sentence phrase?
Yeah. A a 6-foot fence extending from the house to the 32 by 32-foot sheltered area shall be constructed that encloses the minimum standards for the dog runs, and it will I don't know, I'd have to write it out, but it'll have to allow a dog to be let loose out of the rear door, and the dog can go be confined in the dog run and have access to the 32 by 32-foot shelter.
Okay, here's my problem. Allison's not here and she's gonna have to figure this out. So if you want to take some time to write it out and we can talk about that after. I think it sounds like we're all kind of in agreement on that. So I'm not worried about it. Is there anything else that we want to talk about? I mean, she's proposing the dog waste receptacle.
And in that regard, Rob, I think that the collected waste should be removed from the premises not less than once a week.
Perfect. We got that. The proposed dog waste receptacle, the location.
Yeah, that can't be in the front yard. It would
No,
have,
no, it's definitely not going to be in the front yard, but I mean, it's definitely got to be, it doesn't have to be where it shows on the plan, but it definitely has to be, convenient. The placement has to be convenient for, for the cleaning of the proposed dog run area, the proposed shelter. It has to be far enough away from any and all, human activity, I would think.
Yeah. And dog activity too.
And dog activity, yep, you'd want that. And again, I'll end up sitting down, if Allison has any questions whatsoever, she and I will go back and forth and just make sure that this is all in here, but I mean, that's why we kind of gotta button it up right now, only because she's not here. Let's see.
That she has to secure all state, federal, and local permits before she can open her kennel for business.
The maintain compliance with all other that's number 7 on there, saying that's a given. That'll end up being a given condition anyway.
Okay.
Again, another given condition, there shall be no dogs outside between sunset and sunrise. That's directly from our zoning bylaw.
Yep.
Shelter, runs, area. And again, let me just say 415-83, 415-38.3. Subsection D is conditions. It says it right out. It's titled conditions.
We could say that it has to be operated to the conditions of section 415-38.3, and we've basically covered ourselves, right?
I believe attorney. I apologize. Mr. Baker said, Mr. Baker Jr., do you concur with that statement?
What was that again? I'm sorry, Robin.
Grega?
Well, I was saying, adding into our conditions you know, the operate,
Applicant
yeah, the applicant shall
comply.
yeah, operate the dog shelter in compliance with section 415-38.3, which is, those are
Dot D.
in dot D,
Yep, dot D.
not 3.
415-38.3
Dot 3 dot D.
Yep, it's titled conditions.
Okay.
And then the sentence right after that, the applicant shall meet all the requirements in applying for a special permit, plus the following. And it was all the requirements were A through C.
Okay.
So it's yeah, again, there's nothing in A through C which really does anything other than what she's already doing. So so applicant shall comply with all with conditions as labeled in 415-38.3.D.
Yeah.
Do you concur that that's kind of like a coverall, the cover our butt situation, Mr. Baker Senior, Mr. Baker Jr.?
It sounds fairly comprehensive.
Okay. So and that's it. That's definitely something. And then anything that, and then again, all of our other conditions are going to go off of this. So the fence that leads from the house to the fence that leads from the house to the shelter. The dog waste gets picked up once a week. Yes.
At least once a week.
At a minimum,
At a minimum once a week. Yeah.
Cool.
And,
All right.
and not disposed in the residential trash.
Well,
She said she's been throwing it in the residential trash.
Well, I don't think is there anything that says you can't?
Well, I wouldn't, for a commercial kennel.
This is not a commercial kennel.
Well, it is. It's
Oh no, excuse me, my bad. It's a kennel other than personal kennel. So
Can we
yes.
just say dispose once a week per Board of Health requirements or regulations? And then that'll cover us if there's a rule that we're not aware of?
usually what they do is they have a service, a contract with a service
Yeah.
The
But
guy
yeah,
on the
that disposes of it.
I'm going to say one thing though. I'm going to say one thing. Hey Steve, where do you dump your cat's litter box?
It's trash.
Same here.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think the distinction is the nature of the stuff. Can
Yeah.
commercial enterprises
right.
I mean, it's not
out on
industrial
sidewalk pickup?
volume, but yeah.
No, I'd say again, I agree with the commercial status. So at a minimum, once a week.
By a
with
commercial removal company.
a commercial
Well,
entity.
I mean, if she can find someone who can do it that's not in the business, I don't think we should worry about that.
Yeah, no, as long as it's removed at a minimum once a week.
Well, we made the guy on North Ave. We put that in as a condition that he had to have it commercially removed.
And there you go. You didn't happen to pull out. You didn't have to pull that decision, did you?
No,
Okay.
I just remember.
All right. Well, if you remember that, then I would have no problem. I would have no issue with that.
Because if you remember, he was putting it in a 20-gallon stainless Galby trash can,
Yep.
and we said that's not really kosher. And he
Okay.
said, "Well, I can get a regular dog waste
Removal company.
removal company," and they brought they actually brought the receptacle to him.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
All right. So we got that on there.
So they have to contract with a professional waste removal company. Is that right?
Just say commercial, because when you add professional waste removal, you're taking it to a
No,
requirement.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, different level.
No, I didn't. say-
Commercial waste
I
removal
just
company.
said-
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. What else we got? I don't know. I don't think there's anything else really that has to be looked at. I mean, again, we said, when you talk about, this is everything that's outside. When it comes down to inside, all dogs should be separated from, how do you say it?
And
You
I
don't
don't
say,
know what
can't
you-
say human contact. I mean, that doesn't work.
Non-employed residents.
Gates and barriers between dog areas and in-use residential area or non-dog use areas.
Mr. Baker Junior?
I think that's a better way of doing it rather than the contact with people, because.
Okay, again, not knowing how to really deal with this.
I mean, I'm sure at some point she's gonna have folks taking care of the dogs or coming into contact with the dogs who aren't technically employees, and I don't think that should be a problem.
Yeah, but if she operates according to the conditions that we've stated thus far, those dogs aren't going to come in contact with people and friends and stuff, because they're going to be confined between between the shelter, the dog 32 by 32 dog shelter, and the dog run, because that fence is going to confine them.
And in the house too, Greg.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You
And
gotta-
in the house, they're going to have to be, quarantined or relegated or whatever you want, however you want to word it, to a specific area that does not come in contact with.
General residential living.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
she's gonna put gates in the doorways between rooms. That in no way separates it from residential living.
No, hell
It's
no,
like
because
2
they're only
inches
gonna
of-
be 4
It's
foot
like 2
gates.
inches apart. No,
Well,
how about-
I look at it as these general dog gates, and even little dogs can jump over the stupid gates.
Yeah.
There almost has to be a door.
Then you can't observe them.
French door. Glass window door. I don't know. Again,
I
it's just,
think gates would be adequate.
Ian's biggest concern was making sure that there was no commingling of residential guests or residential kids or anything like that, and the dogs. So
I'm sure he's gonna look at that too.
Let Ian work that out rather than us trying to figure out what.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right. Any interior commingling of residents and dogs shall be approved by the animal control officer.
Okay,
Trying
so
to figure out a
let's
way
look
to-
at these. So, all right, so let's say the rule is that the residents can't commingle with the dogs,
Right.
and the resident's son reaches over the gate once and pats the dog. Is she gonna get in trouble for that?
That's up to Ian.
How about as determined by the animal control officer,
I like where you going.
there shall, how do I want to say this? There shall be appropriate gates separating the area occupied by the dogs from the rest of the house.
Fine. I can work with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then again, I think the number 7 under our conditions that are already in the bylaw, the applicant must meet and maintain compliance with all other federal, state, and local laws or regulations. I think that covers anything extra that Ian specifically has.
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right, so I know we probably don't got them written down. We're gonna have to, you'd have to go back and listen to the meeting, but we've discussed everything. And between Allison and I will go over everything. Bob, you got another one you wanna throw in?
Yes. The maximum amount of dogs she can have is 10.
Maximum at any one time.
Yes,
Perfect.
okay.
Yep.
What else we got? Let me do this. Let me pull up I want to pull up her application one more time, just so, see if there's anything that we're missing. No, it's not the, no, that's not it. Oh, there's my thing. Application. Okay, special permit, review, need a special permit per zoning law to be commercial kennel, she's not building anything on property, installing a shelter, while they are here for doggy daycare or boarding. I'm in the process of applying for license with Officer Davis. Commercial kennel, commercial breeding, breeder kennel, domestic share, corporation or veteran pay. Looking for a commercial kennel license so that I want to do applying for my kennel separate fenced area. Went outside and some crates. Okay, here we go. License and was, looks like, told I just need a separate fenced in area for pups when outside and some crates inside for them to be in when I am not around or to separate if needed. Okay. Someone needs to be on the site, and someone needs to be on site 24 hours. Someone responsible for any dogs staying more than 24 hours. Well, someone needs to be on site anytime outside dogs are within the residence. Someone's got to be responsible for these dogs.
No, somebody's got to be on site whenever there's a dog there, whether it's
Boom.
inside or outside.
A client
Okay,
dog.
that hasn't been stated in anything, so that needs to be a condition.
Over the age of 18.
Even better.
Yes.
18 or over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 18's an adult.
Right.
Right.
So I'm looking for a commercial kennel and fenced in area for pups when outside and some crates inside for them to be in when I am not around or to separate if needed. So does that mean she has to have 10 crates on the inside?
Nope.
Yes. I think she should have to have 10 crates.
All right. So let's say, now we've said 10 dogs at a time.
Yep.
But
Oh,
let's
wait,
say,
one crate per dog, not 10 crates.
no, but she's going to have 10 dogs maximum
Worst
at any
case.
one time.
Yep.
Presumably, the total pool of dogs that are going in there, hopefully for her sake, for the sake of her business, is going to be more than 10 dogs.
Oh, the overall number. I hear what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah.
Crates come in different sizes.
Yep.
Right.
No customer for a daycare or a boarding place is going to be bringing their own crate back and forth.
No.
She just needs some crates. I don't think it's reasonable to have 10 because the 10 she has might not fit the dogs that she's got at any given time.
Right.
But wouldn't it be reasonable to require her to have one crate per dog? I mean, if she happens
No.
to.
What about 5 crates at all
Well, what if
times?
she has 10 dogs
Minimum.
staying overnight?
So that she'll need
Staying
10
overnight,
crates.
staying overnight is different.
And if I say a minimum of 5 crates must be, or
But what if those 5 crates don't fit the dogs that are there at any particular time?
Right.
Is it our responsibility or the animal controls officer's responsibility to enforce how many crates they have?
how about this? owner shall maintain adequate size and number of crates.
Or the number of dogs she's boarding.
Yeah,
Or for overnight
Yeah.
stay.
yeah,
If she has 10 dogs staying overnight, she needs 10 crates that fit those dogs.
Absolutely.
She
Okay,
has,
so we're all kind of in agreement on that.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
boarding aspect, absolutely. On the daycare aspect, no.
No, definitely not, but specifically from a boarding aspect. If she's keeping 10 dogs overnight, she needs to have 10 crates that fit the size and shape of the 10 dogs. Yes? Yes, everybody, cool. So that's her application. There's nothing else really in the application that she's asking for specifically, or saying that she's going to do, or saying that she seems to want to do. Let me do one other thing here. And is it right here? Going back to Ian's letter, reviews, he's okay with the site plan and the application. He's comfortable with both. Understand it, but with the understanding that all conditions required for the permit will be completed and subject to my inspection prior to the final commercial tenant permit. So we've already said that.
right,
We've already said that. First, proper fencing to prevent any dog from running loose. We've already said that. Children in the home with the multiple dogs. We've addressed that. Now it's the different interactions.
that's the no commingling.
Yeah, the no call. Yeah, the no call. This is something that I wanted to look at. Need a proper kennel permit. I ordered a cease operations. I was called out for a loose dog. Learned that the dog that Barnes issued okay. And Mrs. Barnes was issued a $500 civil citation. The citation issued is currently being appealed by Mrs. Barnes in district court. Now, I would assume Ian's going to be taking care of this, or at least he would take care of this on his end. Do we have to come up with a condition that says any and all violations shall be taken care of, whether found liable or not? Just to
That's
make it,
kinda hard
where I'm
because-
going with this.
that might be kind of hard because if it's being appealed in court,
Right. Well, I
it could
mean,
be 2 to 3 years before it gets to a judge.
Well, I don't know.
I don't
What
want
do
to
you
give her a
think, Rob?
special
Did it-
permit if she's still got something, if she's still appealing something that the animal control officer said, it said, he issued her a citation. She's saying she doesn't believe that it's
Right,
applicable.
and she had a right to appeal that, which she did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're gonna make her withdraw the appeal, something she's legally entitled to do.
No. I would say that the special permit is contingent on that getting settled, whether it's pay it or the appeal gets passed.
So we could put something about the citations, but also say something that if it's under appeal with the court, the deadline is extended as far as us enforcing something, right?
I honestly don't know how to deal with that because again, I don't want to, appealing something is literally taking it's a court action. It's taking the town to court. The people appeal our stuff all the time.
Now, if she gets a new citation for something, then wouldn't that be something that the animal control officer could revoke their license or the special permit?
Yeah.
So we don't have to actually
We don't have
enforce
to,
that,
we don't have
correct?
to address it.
Because we want to do a double agency enforcement of something that someone's already doing.
He could hold her license until the appeal is,
Right. So we don't need to step in the middle of that one because we don't want to muddy
If
the
you
waters.
if you all agree with that, that's fine. I can do that. I'm addressing the concern that she's kind of suing the town. She's
No.
she's appealing a
It's
I
decision.
agree with you that we
She's
should
entitled to.
discuss.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, if I file a tax abatement, does that mean I wouldn't qualify for something before any board in the town?
No,
Because I'm asking to pay less on taxes and the town's telling me I have to? No. That's, it's not suing the town, but it's disagreeing with the town.
Yeah, I think we should, our zoning enforcement officer will enforce the zoning enforcement. Animal control officer will enforce animal control. So we
That's
definitely
fine.
we don't want to double dip enforcement.
Okay. That's fine. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just going through the letter and just pointing it
Yep.
out.
Yep.
We want to be
Uh,
careful of the time here. We don't want to get cut off. Remember what
Nah, it's
happened?
only 10:30. Well, I'm almost done here. Main concern with the
Okay.
county, told me,
it was
uh,
10:30 last time.
Yeah, we extended the end time. What is the cutoff time now?
11:45.
Okay, good. All right,
Oh,
good. So,
11:45 or 10:45?
11:45.
Either way, I hope we don't find out.
we got time.
No,
Let's
no,
make
we're
some
almost,
coffee.
we're almost done here. We're almost done. Hold on. Told me in a conversation while dogs are boarded in the home, coming and going from room to room. The dogs he was concerned that the dogs were going to have free run of the entire house. We've already taken care of that in the condition. It is my responsibility to control of it. That's it. We've addressed everything we've addressed everything that we personally feel. We've addressed everything that's in the zoning bylaw, and we've addressed everything that Ian had concern with in all of his concerns. So
Do we
I
want to
would
do a one-year
entertain-
review?
you said 6 months.
It's not.
No. Oh, yeah, I did, but we want to do a one-year review just to,
You said every 6 months, so she ends up doing a 6 month. She ends up doing it every year anyway.
no, do we want to do it?
Do what?
Have a 1-year review of the.
But you already said 6 months.
He was
You already
originally
said 6
proposing
months.
the animal control officer do something in 6
Yeah.
months.
Right.
Not-
the
and then we
animal
that was a
officer
moot point.
will inspect it. And if he's okay with it, that's it. If he's
Right.
an issue, she comes back to us. And then we decide whether this operation will continue or not.
All right, so it's
But-
not so you weren't asking for every 6 months. You
No,
were saying in the beginning, 6 months after initial operation. But see now you're compelling Ian to do something,
Which we can't do.
no, I'm
which we
not.
can't do.
I just said, do we want to have a review in 6 months?
Okay, and I think we
Or
said
a
yes.
year?
Yeah, we said yes on that.
We
A
said
year.
yes on the 6 months.
For us to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So
What?
it's every 6 months, we want to have a review on this to make sure. And if it comes down to it, she can, let's say after a year, that's two inspections within a year. If Ian has no issues whatsoever, the applicant can return to us for a change and go to bi-yearly.
No,
So you're looking at every 6 months for the duration of her operation?
This is
No.
what I'm trying, this is what
I
I'm
think,
trying
I
to.
think that's, particularly where she's being overseen by the animal control officer. I think that's unreasonable. I think, an initial 6 months to come back, see how it's going, and if that's fine, if there are any problems, he can let us know.
Well, what about this? I think we've done this in the past where, if a violation occurs within the first 6 months, and then she's gonna have to come back to us.
It's already coming back to us in 6 months anyway.
and explain herself.
Yeah, but I would say,
Explain what?
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I think if there are complaints, then she should come back. If there's no complaints, she probably, let her run her business. You know what I mean?
So if
Because if she's violating these conditions, there's gonna be complaints. If a dog bites somebody, there's gonna be a complaint to the dog officer.
Yeah, but that's above and beyond our conditions. If the dog bites somebody, if there's a reason because she's not complying, well, that's a totally different.
Yeah,
thing.
but we would know about that by the violation. And then we step in and say.
How would we know about it?
I agree with you, Mr. Baker Jr. I agree with you.
Well, the dog officer will report it to us.
Why?
Violation.
But if it's a zoning violation, it'd have to go through Tom Rubel.
Yeah,
Right.
why don't we just focus
Yeah,
on zoning?
all right. You know what? Maybe we shouldn't
I,
put that
Greg,
condition
I
in
agree
there.
with
Just
you
let-
about, I agree with you about complaints. We've done this before.
Right.
If the applicant is subject to a complaint to either building department or dog officer, you know, an animal control officer.
Yeah.
Then applicant shall be subject to a zoning.
You know, I suppose the dog officer could shut her down if it's like a repeat violation. Maybe that's his jurisdiction and not ours. I don't know.
Well, a dog bite, yes, but again, it
A
comes
zoning
down to,
violation, I don't think he could.
yeah, he can't touch zoning. He can't touch zoning only. So it comes down to a zoning violation. If a zoning if the applicant is subject to a zoning violation, the applicant shall be forced to come back to the zoning board of appeals and explain herself.
Can we add a condition that their waste disposal records have to be made available to the zoning enforcement officer?
We can put,
We've
But-
never-
I
we
mean,
never
I
have.
just, I don't know.
We never have. That's
Okay.
I think Tom's got
feel like
enough
that's
to
a-
do.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a,
just
that's a
saying if-
condition just to make a condition. I don't think.
No, I don't
that's-
want to just make a condition. I'm just saying because it's one of our conditions about the waste disposal.
we could
It's-
say
If all of a sudden they were like putting it in the trash, but they were trying to be sneaky about it, you know?
they
Well,
can
that
keep,
would be a zoning violation that would have to go through building department, and building
Yeah.
department would make them come back to
Oh.
us.
but on our con-
There would
on
also
our
be a board of
condition-
health
on our
throwing
condition,
it in there and smelling.
Mhm.
our condition, we can say you have to keep records. So if somebody, you know, if there's a zoning enforcement issue related to waste management, you know.
So as a part of the waste
authority-
management, Greg, I'm gonna cut you off right there. I'm gonna make this simple. As a part of the waste management condition, and collection records must be kept.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Done. Okay, so done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it quick because we're running out of time.
Okay, what do you mean by records?
Collection records of
Collection records.
making sure that the waste disposal guy, you know, is billing 4 times a month, you
And
know,
for what
picking
length
it
of
up
time?
once a week, you know.
A copy of the contract with the waste disposal company and the slip for the weekly pickup.
How long
You
do they
can
have to
give
keep
one.
that on record?
No, look, she's got an obligation to have it picked up.
Yep,
It's up to her to prove it to us.
that's my point.
We don't have to require records. She'd be ill-advised not to keep them.
Right,
But if we get a complaint or there is a complaint that it's not being picked up and she can't produce records that shows that it is, then
it's on her.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I
mean,
agree
we're-
that she should, but she shouldn't be compelled to keep records.
Right.
Okay, I agree. That
Not by
makes,
us, at least. Not by us.
yeah,
All
that
right,
makes
where
sense.
else?
You're right.
What else we got? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to grant this application with conditions as listed in this meeting. I got a hand up.
second,
Second.
Whoa, I got a motion, I got a second. So there's a motion. I was
Oh, I thought you made the
entertaining a
motion.
motion.
I thought you
No,
made
I
the
was
motion.
entertaining a motion.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna take I'm gonna take Mr. Baker Jr. as the motion. I'm gonna take Mr. Galley as the second. Are we
Mhm.
good there?
Good.
Rock and roll. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Jr., Mr. Baker
Yes.
Senior.
Yes,
Wake up. There it is. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes,
Done. All right. That was a pain. Dogs are important.
they
Yes.
are.
All right. So that's
You know,
taken
we're
care of.
never upset about talking about dog facilities.
I know
And it's
exactly.
never, no matter how much waste we're worried about them picking up, I never feel bad talking about a dog facility.
No, I dig it. I dig it. And if Shannon's iPhone, you're still on. I see you on there. You're muted. If you can hear me right now, congratulations. Let's see, Allison will probably have that done within 14 days. And then There you go. So, if there's any questions, let us know or let Allison know. And then other than that, that's taken care of. We're running out of time, guys. I'd like to pick up on the rules of procedure at the next meeting. Is that
Yep.
okay? All right,
It is.
guys. We'll table that until the next meeting. And with that,
Move to
I would
adjourn.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Who's my second?
Me, second.
I got a second on Mr. Tanzi. Roll call myself as a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Galley.
Yes.
Good evening,
Good night,
gentlemen.
everyone.